I'd like to call this meeting to order. If you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dan, would you like to lead us in invocation?
Yes, being that we have Memorial Day coming up, if we could all just have a moment of silence today for our Memorial Day that will be coming up. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Trustee Mason?
Here.
Trustee Reiners?
Present.
I'm sorry, Reinders.
Reinders.
Yes. Trustee McNaughton?
Present.
Trustee Consolino?
Present.
Trustee Fialco?
Present?
Trustee Stylen?
Present.
Mayor Knightsky-Trokey?
Present. Are there any amendments to the agenda?
Yes, there is. I would like to table J7 and 8. Seeing is there are, I feel that it's not a complete packet there with the actual requests. Mr. Perini is not the owner of the plaza, so therefore there's no lease attached. And also, there is no rendering of what the restaurant is actually going to look like.
The kitchen part.
The kitchen part of it, actually.
I'll second that.
Is there any further discussion?
Yes, I'd like to move H1 to,
I'm
oh,
on
sorry.
this amendment.
On this one.
Seeing that there's none, sorry.
To the next, motion to table to the next meeting or indefinitely?
Motion to table it until we get the information that's needed.
Put it on the table? Okay, thank you.
Is the petitioner here? Do you have any of the renderings already for the restaurant? Did you submit them to the village already?
So basically, when a new business comes before us, and especially anything that's related to gaming, there are certain restrictions and certain things that have to be included in your restaurant in order to get a gaming license. So therefore, normally an applicant would submit a rendering of what the facility or restaurant or kitchen is going to look like.
Trustee Reinders, just for clarification, this isn't for a gaming license. This is for the liquor license.
And
I know that gaming is in the name, but this isn't for the gaming license. This is for the liquor.
The building department has already gotten that information, the layout of the restaurant and the equipment that's going to be used. I don't know why that was omitted from this packet.
Right.
But we do have that information.
So we'll table it till the next.
It's not included in this, so
Include it
I'd like
next
to
time.
table
So
it. until
we do have
get
that
the
information. We
Okay.
do have that.
Well, then for the next meeting, that would be fine.
So you're proposing to table it to June 14th, I believe it is?
If we have the information required, yes.
Okay, Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll on that?
We're taking 7 and 8 together, or are we doing?
You should do them individually.
Individual.
And then we'll take 8.
Yes.
Trustee Fialco?
Aye.
Trustee Stylen? Trustee Mason?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Trustee Consolino?
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton?
Aye.
And then I'm assuming, Trustee Reinders, you're motioning to same motion?
Yes, same motion for J8.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Stylen?
Aye.
Trustee Mason?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Trustee Consolino?
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton?
Aye.
Trustee Fialco?
Aye.
I'd like to apologize to the petitioner that we did not have that information in our packet. Thank you. Any more amendments to the agenda?
Yes, I would like to move H1 to H6, or after the village manager, please.
Do I need a second on that? Is there a second?
Second. Yep.
Any discussion? Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Trustee McNaughton?
Aye.
Trustee Consolino?
No.
Trustee Reinders?
No.
Trustee Mason?
Aye.
Trustee Stylen?
Aye.
Trustee Fialko?
Aye.
Any more amendments to the agenda? Okay, seeing that there's none, we're moving on to approval of minutes. Looking to approve March 22nd, 2023. I'm sorry.
Just hold on one second. What we're kind of missing is when we have amendments to the agenda, really, I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, we should be approving the agenda as amended then, as a board, to move then forward. And then after the board approves the agenda as amended, it can only be changed during the meeting with a 2/3 majority vote. So we really should be following that step, unless you think
I
otherwise.
agree, it's 2/3 majority to change it after we set the agenda. If you want to, I'm sorry. Yes, we can amend, it's amended by 2/3. If we want to vote to adopt the amended agenda, we can do that now. That's fine. So we should have a motion to adopt the amended agenda.
Is there a motion to adopt the amended agenda?
I'll make that motion. I'll second it. Castellino, Fialko.
Call the roll.
Consolino?
And just so we're all clear, once we adopt it, the way the rules say is if we want to change it during the meeting, any part of the agenda during the meeting, it requires a 2/3 vote to do so at that point.
With a second, okay.
Correct.
Thank
Motion
you.
is-
Thank you for that, Trustee Fialko. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Trustee Fialko?
Aye?
Trustee Stylen?
Aye.
Trustee Mason?
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton?
Aye.
Okay. So now we're moving on to approval of minutes. Looking for a motion for approval of March 22nd, 2023 Village Board meeting.
So moved.
I will second that.
Any discussion? Hearing
The
that
only
there's-
discussion I would have is, I mean, it's up to you guys, but really, that wasn't a meeting and any of you guys were at, and I don't think it requires any more than our 3 votes to approve it. My advice would be, and it's up to you guys, obviously, would be to abstain.
If I may, Madam Mayor.
Please.
This happens all the times in boards when trustees flip over and they come around and the former members are not there and you're approving minutes. Long as they read the minutes and they're in agreement with the minutes, they can vote on the minutes.
Right, I understand. That's if they watched the meeting and they knew what happened at the meeting. I agree. If that part was done, sure.
So they can vote if they read the minutes.
I do have a question for.
Sure.
And I'm sorry I didn't check on this before the meeting, but in the minutes, under the legislative attorney Carrie Horvath section, he said that the bids were solicited on November 18th, 2022. This is in reference to the memorial. And then he said that there was and then in the minutes it says that there was an optional site visit of September 22nd.
I'm sorry, where are you at?
So, I'm sorry. Oh, yes, page 6 and page 7. Bottom of 6 and top of 7.
Specifically Horvath?
Huh?
Horvath's comments?
Yes. So I'm just, if that's what happened, I just wanted to make sure that that isn't like some kind of a typo.
Carmen?
No, that is exactly what happened. There was a site visit for anyone that was intending to bid on the project.
Okay, so they had the site visit before. Okay.
And then we also have another one in December.
Any more discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Fialko?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Trustee Stylen?
Aye.
Trustee Consolino?
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton?
Aye.
Trustee Mason?
Okay, next is public comment. Public comment is for on legislation and action items only. We ask that you please keep your comments to 3 minutes. And I apologize that we did not move the public comment K up as well. Okay.
Good.
John Hayes.
Only with 2/3.
I against the amendments to... I'm here to speak against the amendments to Code Sections 10.5, 10.6, and 10.7 regarding the establishment and abolishment of certain committees. Again, we have here an instance where among the first actions of this new administration are for the consolidation of power by the president and the reduction of power of the board, something that the people did not vote for. The trustees are duly elected by the people to act in their interest. This is another step against transparency. Nowhere in the campaign was any of these changes mentioned. The people voted without knowing any of this. It would appear to have already been in the works, as it's taken care of almost immediately. In fact, very little about the governance was mentioned. It was a lot of sloganeering and basically what appears to be lying by omission. Also, no mention of a change in the method of governance. The people vote for the trustees to exercise power on their behalf and to look out for their interests, not to act as yes men for what is turning out to be a regime of lust of power, cronyism, and a lack of transparency. Giving singular power to those who seek it is a mistake. It will invite abuse and retribution. The ordinances as they stand allow for oversight, transparency, and full participation by all the duly elected representatives of the people, and they seem to have served the citizens of Homer Glen well thus far. I would ask that the trustees vote to leave them as they stand, or at least to table them until such a time as the people can be properly informed and have it speaking with their trustees about what should be done about this. Again, the consolidation of power was nowhere mentioned during this campaign. The informed consent of the government and the full participation of their representatives is a major foundation of the American way. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hayes. Tammy Hayes?
Hello, I am here also to talk about the agenda item J1. As it says in the agenda, background information is, on September 8th, 2021, the village adopted ordinance number 21-041, village president of the authority to appoint members to standing committees, subcommittees, and task forces. I'm sorry, vice president, village president of the authority to appoint members of standing committees. My question to you is this. Only 2 years ago, actually less than 2 years ago, the elected sitting village trustees believed and voted in this very ordinance. Now our new village president and trustees board claim that they want to revert this power back to the village president. It would seem to me this new village president is lining her holster with as many bullets of soul power as she can. It continues, the background information, that the village board of trustees, the village board, has determined it is in the best interest of the village to have the village president make appointments with recommendations from the board of trustees and amend sections 10.5, 10.6, and 10.7 of the Code of Ordinances. Again, my question would be who? Exactly what trustees? Which part of the board has decided that this needs to be voted on? And I guess we'll find out when the vote is taken exactly who. And if the vote is split, who will make that decision? Will it be the village president breaking the tie? Is this what the voters voted for? For one person to have sole power over our village? If they did, I hope they're here tonight. I hope they're watching. And I hope they come and they speak in the defense of this and tell me, tell us, tell the entire village why it's a good thing. How does it work in our favor as a village? Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. Joe Pirelli? Did I say that right? Is it, I believe?
That might have been me earlier.
Yeah, You don't have anything to add? No, that was it, I'm sorry. Okay, that's okay. That's okay. Angel Shake?
Good evening, Board. I'm kind of here to reiterate the same thing that Mr. and Mrs. Hayes said. I know people that voted for, you know, part of the new trustees that got in. I also know people that voted for the new mayor, and people that voted, you know, half and half. Having trustees, I don't really see why we have trustees or why we had to vote for trustees if you guys are going to just hand over all the pressure and the power to the mayor, because the trustees are on that board to speak for us and to be responsible for what the people, you know, the wishes of the people. I kind of feel like the trustees are giving up on all of us, and they just want to say, we're going to put all of it on the new mayor, and we're not going to, you know, we'll just let this go and let the new mayor be responsible for everything. Well, then basically, that's not a good idea either, because somebody is going to take the blame for everything. And we all know that there is so much divisiveness and things going on, you know, with the politics. Is it really a good idea? Is that what you think of your new mayor, to just throw all the pressure on her? Because then basically, she's going to be the one getting the brunt of everything. So I think that having the checks and balances, again, what I talked about last time, I just think the checks and balances are really important. And as far as also with, I think it was on J2, but you guys had talked about the way you're going to do the new committees and then appoint the chair and the vice chair and having people from the village. I think that everybody needs to be aware. I think that you did say that you would have a chair from somebody on the trustees, just to be aware that some things, like to the public, we're not allowed to be privy to. So I'm assuming there will be a chair from the trustees for each committee. Like one of the trustees will be a chair, and then you'll appoint vice chairs. But I would just be really cautious and try to keep the checks and balances so that everybody's not going against each other again. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shake. Okay, we're moving on to reports and communications from mayor and other officers. Start with the trustees. Trustee Consolino?
No report tonight, thank you.
Trustee McNaughton? Trustee Reinders?
No report.
Trustee Mason?
Nothing at this time.
Trustee Fialko?
Thank you. President Knightsky-Troicke, thank you for that. As far as my report, for Homerfest, of course, we're 4 weeks away. For updated information, please go to homerfest.com. So that's right around the corner. What I'd like to say again, because we have an open stage concept this year, lawn chairs are welcome, and your blankets and a light sprinkle poncho. We don't want to say a rain poncho. I shouldn't have said that, but you can bring a poncho. What we don't want at the fest is coolers, outside beverages or food, or umbrellas. I've been to places for concerts where they did allow umbrellas, and umbrellas cause fights, so we're staying away from the umbrellas and just sticking with the rain or the sprinkle ponchos, if I could say that. A&F, I am the chair, was the chair of A&F up to this point. There was no meeting this month. Basically, if you look at the agenda, it's been amalgamated into the board meetings. Some of those things used to go into the consent agenda, and this is why we have, I mean, we've got 25 items on here this time, and I don't see it getting any better by incorporating A&F into our regular meetings as far as the length of this meeting and how long they'll be. What I will say is A&F, really, Joe Baber was always there, Brent Woods was always there, Gia Casson was there, Carmen Morella was there, I was there, and then we had 3 trustees and the mayor. The board was put together with 3 trustees and the mayor. And we kind of went through things. We were responsible for a whole list of things, including contracts and anything that involved money. And so when we saw something that needed to be adjusted or go back and looked at again, We took the time to do that. And here, when we're doing this, I guarantee it's going to take some time and to understand the process. So with that said, there was no A&F meeting. I believe this is on the agenda down the list a little bit here that will cover it. But there was no A&F meeting. So I just want to close with that. Thank you.
Did you want to add anything that we talked about for security in the light of Tinley, or?
I could. Well, when it comes to security for the fest, just so everybody knows, we've heightened and looked into in depth as to what we can do and some changes we can make and to make it as secure as possible. With that said, you could have a whole army out here or the whole Will County Sheriff's Office. It doesn't mean that somebody can't cause a problem. And especially with the way things are going with social media being used as a tool to create those problems, it's very hard to monitor and predict what can happen. So we have taken the proper steps, though, to look at that, and we have made some changes through the week that we've talked about, and you can bet that there will be heightened security for Homerfest. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Fiocco.
I'm sorry, I forgot to add in stargazing for Friday night.
We have stargazing with the Environment Committee on Friday. It's 7 to 10, 7:30 to 10. And we will also be doing crosstown exotic animals in the community room at the same time. So when you're tired of being outside, if it's too chilly or if the weather's not conducive, come on inside with your kids and check out our animals. But stargazing has gotten bigger and bigger each time we seem to have it. Oh, and yes, this time we added a food truck. Who's our food truck this? Not your mama's food truck? Not your I think it's Not Your Mama's Trailer. Not Your Mama's Trailer will be out in front. And then also, there will be signs for anybody who is handicapped and needs accessibility. We will have staff that will be able to take you over there, and you'll be able to park your cars over here. There's also a map online, a beautiful little map, that'll show everybody where they can park and where they need to go for the telescopes. But please come and please enjoy. Thank you. Thank you, Trustee Cancelino. Trustee Stylen?
No report.
Madam Clerk?
Nothing.
Village Attorney?
Nothing.
Public Safety? Okay. Village Manager?
Thanks, Madam President. Yes, I do have a report tonight. Just a few things to go over. Memorial Day celebration at Marion Village is going to be May 29th at 10 a.m. and they invited anybody to join them, trustees, township, staff, etc. So just an FYI on that. The other thing is I did want to let the board know that we received an eligibility grant through Will County for the ARPA funds of $500,000. It will be earmarked for wastewater treatment. So that money's been earmarked, and we just received a letter from Will County State and so I just wanted to make sure that the board knew. We have about $7 million out in grant funding that we went out for. Right now, we're looking at awardments of 2.5, so that's some good news I wanted to share with the board. We work diligently, me and Gia work diligently to try to get those grants in and get them applied for, and we're looking to see 2.5 come back to us, so that's pretty exciting news. So I just want to give you guys that report, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Manager Morella. All right, next is me. I have a couple of things. I wanted to give a big shout out to Joey's Red Hots and Papa Joe's. They are donating free food to for the Special Needs Day for the Homer Fest. Thank you to Trustee Fiocco for helping putting that together, and thank you to our events staff for also putting all that together. I wanted to extend an apology to Trustee Fiocco. At the last board meeting, I had made a comment that did not come out the way it was meant to, but regardless of how it came out, I want to extend an apology, and I'll take ownership of that. It was a bit degrading, and that's not how I meant it, so I apologize.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Moving on to A&F. A&F, there's been a lot of questions, and I wasn't going to touch about it in my report, but since it's been talked about and put out there in the Facebook world, I want to talk about it just for a minute. There are 10 items on the agenda tonight that would normally go in front of A&F committee. J10, we've known about for over a year. J11, it was brought to us before last year, over a year ago. J12 came in a couple months ago. J13 came in last year. J14, we found out about 2 months ago. J15, we knew about in November. J16, we found out about last year. J18, we found out about 3 months ago. And J20 and J21 are typical legal bills, but are being pulled out of consent agenda for obvious reasons. The reason I had brought this up to remove A&F committee is clearly, as everyone can see, there is a divided board. The A&F committee consists of 3 trustees and a mayor. All 6 trustees applied for the position. As mayor, what do? I can take all 3 on one side, I could take 3 from another, or I can combine the board, 2 from one or one, however which way it would go. I thought it would be in the best interest, and I did have discussions with Trustee Fialko, Trustee McNaughton, Trustee Mason, and Trustee Stylen. And as I stated in the previous board meeting, unfortunately, I am unable to reach out to Trustee Consolino and Trustee Reinders.
That's not true. We have email.
I'm sorry, I
Village
do have
email.
the floor. That is true, Trustee Reinders.
We
You
have
have made it
email.
very, you've stated that you do not want me to contact you. And Trustee Consolino, you have emails stating you do not want me to contact you. So, regardless, if you would like to state right now that we can work this out, I would love that. That would be great for the village in a whole.
I did
We can
email
open
him this week.
You did, and we had
And
a
I
great
asked you what your
conversation.
reasoning for removal or dissolving of A&F
And
was,
I'm
I
going to
received no
explain it now,
response.
because what I would really like moving forward is if there is something that is going to be put out in the world for people to come and get misinformation, I would love to have a discussion with you on the reasons behind it. And if we don't agree, then it doesn't go forward. But I had 4 trustees say, let's give it a shot and see. So there's 6 trustees up here. I just went through how long we've had this information. My discussion with Manager Morella was, why don't we try this? Why don't we, as we get the information, feed it to the trustees as it comes through? This way, they're not being bombarded with 10 items on an agenda all at once. They literally get 2 weeks to review all of these items. I thought it would be in the best interest of the village and the trustees to receive the information as it comes in. If they have any questions, they can consult with the village manager, they can talk amongst themselves one-on-one, get feedback from each other, and give Manager Morella their yay or nay. If they all agree, it goes on the consent agenda, we fly through it, it's easy. If it's a contentious item or something one of the 6 trustees want to discuss, it goes under legislation. It's that easy. There's no reason 3 trustees should make a recommendation to the other 3. I think that's being rather fair. And Trustee Fialko and I had a discussion. He said, let's give it a try. If it doesn't work out, let's create the committee again. That's not a problem. I mean, I had Manager Morella even agree. Staff who's involved with A&F also agreed. Again, we've had information for over a year, and it's being pushed through now. That's unfair to all of us, even the residents. And when we have staff recommendations as well, I mean, it's our staff. We have these employees here for a purpose. They're making recommendations. We should listen to them, talk to the staff member, not 3 trustees who don't work in that department on a regular basis. So that is the reason why I've asked to remove the A&F committee, and if it doesn't work out, we'll bring it back. It's not that hard. Another thing is, I don't like to go back and forth with public comment. That's why I don't respond, just for clarification. However, my email is out on the website, so is my phone number. If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to chat anytime, happy to meet. I have no problems with that. And once we get, I hope the residents who had questions on any of the items under J, I hope you stick around to hear the reasons as well. Moving on to consent agenda.
Consider for approval the accounts payable for the period of April 30th, 2023 through May 25th, 2023 in the amount of $1,052,533.03. Item 2, consider for approval the treasurer's report of cash and investments for the period ending April 30th, 2023. I need a motion.
I so move.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Madam Clerk, can you call the roll?
Trustee McNaughton.
Aye.
Trustee Fialko.
Aye.
Trustee Stylen.
Aye.
Trustee Reinders. Aye. Trustee Mason.
Aye.
Trustee Consolino.
No.
Legislation and action items. Consider for approval ordinance number 23-028, an ordinance amending Homer Glen Village Code, sections 10.5, 10.6, and 10.7 regarding the establishment and appointment of standing committees, subcommittees, and task forces.
So moved.
Is there a second? Trustee Reinders? Any discussion? Trustee Consolino?
Yes. Now, what I pulled out for tonight, since you gave your report, that's why I didn't rebut. I want to read exactly why do you need a finance committee. It's to help a board fulfill its fiduciary responsibility. Finance committee gives the board control over the finances of the organization and is the tool by which it exercises fiscal responsibility to protect the organization from legal challenges and liability. Now, if you go into, which I'm assuming you guys are getting the same booklet that I did and that we did for the elected official handbook, there's a whole litany of stuff that administration and finance committee does. Acceptance of properties from developments, plat of vacation issues, appropriations ordinances, auditor's management letters, annual tax levy, consideration of new tax revenues or increasing an existing tax revenues, auditor contract, contractual employee contracts, construction contracts, decennial or special census efforts, dues requests from IML, Will County CED, Metropolitan Mayor's Conference, Will County Government League, etc., data and information technology issues and projects, equipment purchases, projects, and contracts over the manager's spending authority. In the absence of a manager, this would apply to purchases, projects, and contracts exceeding the mayor and finance director's authority. Employee health, dental, vision, and life insurance. Employee compensation outside of approved budget and village manager authority. Easement agreements with utilities, engineering agreements, support and/or recommend economic development initiatives, general budget issues, general manager and finance development projects, grant applications for infrastructure projects, non-park and recreation facilities, IDOT agreements, resolutions and payments, intergovernmental agreements, ordinance changes recommended from staff dealing with general management and finance, ordinance changes recommended from staff dealing with community development, permit fee waiver requests, professional legal services billings, personal manual revisions, requests for bond and LOC reductions and releases, refinancing, financing of bonds and matters involving loan payments, surplus property sale approval, village codification issues, village cable television agreements and issues, vacation, dedication, public right-of-way and easements, village refuse, recycling, and landscape waste program issues and contract, village and Will County sponsored household hazardous waste collection events, village electronic drop-off and paper shredding recycling events, village website issues, recommends annual signage and facade program funding and parameters. Now, I have a question. Mayor, have you ever been to one of the administrative and finance committee meetings?
I have when I was a trustee.
Okay. Trustee Stylen, have you ever attended one of those meetings?
Yes, I have.
Trustee
A staff
Mason,
member.
have you ever attended one of those meetings? No. Trustee McNaughton? No. Okay. Now, Dan, Trustee Fialko?
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
You sit on that committee.
I do.
Are those all the things that you do?
Those are all things that we do. We break down a lot of different things, and things go back a lot of times, yes. It's quite the process.
Village Manager Morello? Are those all the things that we do in that committee?
Correct.
Okay. Then, and no good conscience can I possibly remove that committee. It is a oversight committee. It is for checks and balances, and I am always been an advocate for checks and balances and for transparency and accountability by this board and by our village government, so absolutely not.
I just want to reiterate something real fast. I believe when a discussion is taking place, all the questions are directed towards me, not each other.
Parliamentary inquiry, is that correct?
Or debate.
So it's only to the mayor?
Rose did.
You should not address other members across the table like that. You could direct a question to the chair or direct your comments towards the chair, but you should not be questioning across.
And you're certain of that, correct?
You should not be addressing my name for sure. You can say trustee or trustee Y or X, but you shouldn't, you know. I guess.
Trustee Reinders, do you have anything to add?
The only thing I have to add is that I did not apply for the A&F committee.
Well, I got an application from you.
Not for
My
me, you
packet.
don't. Not for me, you don't.
Okay, well, in my packet that I received, your name was in there, so maybe it was a mistype.
Yeah, I never applied. But I would also have to question why we would get rid of our checks and balances from A&F. I mean, it's where A&F has been a committee for 20 years. Since this village has been incorporated, it has been the oversight committee of all financial matters that deal with this business. And to get rid of it at this point in time is ridiculous.
Trustee McNaughton? Trustee Fialko?
I do believe it's a mistake getting rid of A&F. I do believe we can try. I do believe it's a, I'm sorry, I didn't have the mic on. I do believe it's a mistake to get rid of A&F. Just taking a look at it right now. If we give it a try, we don't even have to wait a year. We could wait a couple months and we could always bring it back. If that's your wish to try it, I do really feel it's a part of oversight, pretty much like Planning Commission. You say only 3 trustees. I mean, it's the you too, though, as the mayor and 3 trustees. It's oversight to bring to the board. It doesn't eliminate the board. When you made your comment, it made it sound like we were eliminating the board and only 3 trustees and the mayor making a decision. That's not the case. We filter it down in A&F, and we get to the nitty-gritty and kind of filter it out before it gets to the board, and therefore it wouldn't be taken, because A&F went for an hour and a half, 2 hours sometimes to break things down. And these things that are on the agenda that you're talking about were never on the agenda while I was there, where they're now showing up. They may have been in the thought process, but they never were on the agenda that I remember seeing any one of those items previous to today. And that's kind of splitting a hair. It really doesn't matter. The thing is, we can try it, I guess. We'll try it. If it doesn't work out and you see kind of like what everybody's saying, then we can go back to it. But on this, I mean, we're voting on J2, which it doesn't include it, and I agree that it doesn't include it, but really we're voting on the structure that you've put before us, not the item of A&F itself.
Trustee Mason, do you have anything?
I agree with Dan, and like I had talked to you. I'm sorry.
Trustee Fialko.
I'm sorry. I agree with Mr. Fialko, Trustee Fialko. And, when the committees last an hour and a half, 2.5 hours, and these meetings last 4.5 hours, sometimes it's unnecessary. And I think that if Carmen is sending us the information and we have 2 weeks to digest it, I had 3 days to digest all this, fine, no problem, I got it done. When I have 2 weeks, I can really drill down on something. And as you stated, Mr. Fialko, Trustee Fialko, it's not the end of the world. I think people overread and overreact, but it's the beginning of maybe a different way of handling it, and if it doesn't work, we could revisit.
Trustee Steilen?
I'm looking at this as this is voting to not have the A&F committee is a matter of transparency. It is providing the public with transparency because the public generally does not attend the A&F committee meetings, but these meetings are videotaped or recorded, and everybody gets to see the discussion when it happens. 21 years ago or 22 years ago when we became a village, we needed an A&F committee because this village was made up of volunteers. There were no staff. Now what happens with A&F committee, the staff does all of the research. does all of the work, creates a supplement sheet, brings it to A&F for discussion. Now, there are 3 board members at that meeting, and sometimes the mayor, that get to choose whether something comes to the board or not. Instead of now, those items are now presented to the board. And it has happened in the past where something has gone to A&F and did not come to the board. And I would like to see that transparency happen. And I also called Lockport and Lamont. Neither of them have A&F committees. I went on the websites of several other communities, and if they do have an A&F committee, it is usually just for an audit purpose or a budgetary preparation or a 5-year long-term plan. It is not to approve a garbage contract or to review a contract in order to bring it to the board. That work can be done by staff. And instead of wasting 2 weeks for something to go to A&F and then have another 2 weeks for the item to come to the board, this is one way of streamlining things. At first, when I was running for trustee and we talked about being on committees, my first choice was to be on A&F. And the reason why I wanted to be on A&F was because what I would like to see A&F do is look at policies and procedures and things that can help the village run smoothly. That is not what happens at A&F. It's just a matter of some group having more power and another group being left out. And I can say that as an employee when I would watch A&F meetings. At one time, they were held in the mayor's office. At least it got moved to the village boardroom and public could more easily attend. So it did become more transparent, but it is not a transparent process in my opinion. And so that is why I'm willing to give this a try. And if something doesn't work, then we can revisit it. But I think it's worth a try.
Go ahead,
When
Trustee.
everybody else is done, I'd like to respond to that.
Go ahead, Trustee Fialko.
I've been the chair of admin and finance for 2 years now. Nothing of the sort what you just said, where there wasn't transparency and something didn't go to the board. That is, I don't know if you're talking about somebody before me, but if there was something that went through A&F and didn't make it to the board, can you give me an example?
Yes, I can.
A&F, yeah. You said something went through A&F, didn't make it to the board.
Yeah.
So can you give me an example? Because I almost feel like you're saying that somehow I didn't do my job.
Well, I believe that the Homer Township Public Library applied for a waiver on permit fees, and it went to A&F, and it didn't receive a second at A&F, so it was never brought to the board. And if that had been brought to the board, at least the public could have seen it, and maybe the board members might have voted for that.
I don't believe it was motioned at all. And we have a SOP that covers that, where they got 50% off. And that's why it wasn't motioned on. They already got a 50% discount on whatever they needed to function. So it wasn't a matter of not having transparency. And that meeting, every one of them is open to the public. I've never seen you at one of them, not when I've been on for 2 years. But not that that makes a difference. So I think we can move on.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Fialko. Manager Morella. Thank you.
Yes.
We need some heat in here, first of all. Would you like to touch on this subject a little bit, since we had numerous conversations, and I'd like for the trustees to hear your opinion as well.
So, and I've always been really transparent with both boards, previous board, this board. These items are looked at and they're scrutinized by myself. We have a budget that we follow. Staff recommendations come to us. You know, we see these processes like 5 or 6 times before they even reach, sometimes before they even reach A&F and then come to the board. So we do scrutinize these, you know, working with finance, making sure that the budgets are in line, staff's following the recommendations that I had put forth with what we're looking at. They are scrutinized by staff and myself. And then, you know, with you as the mayor, you know, also that's part of the contract too, is to get that looked at by you too, so then we can say, hey, everything's been looked at. And then there's not one thing that this board doesn't look at. If it's not in the accounts payable receiving, you see it in a contract that's sitting on the agenda. So everything that we do with the village is always presented in the light of this board, so.
So to reiterate what you just said, you and the staff
review this 5 or 6 times. Then it goes to A&F. Then it comes to the village board.
Correct.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but everything that Trustee Consolino had read is the duties of the trustees as well.
Correct.
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 So again, A&F would consist of 3 trustees making a recommendation to the other trustees. I thought, and I could be wrong, I'm not saying that I'm doing everything perfect. I'm trying to give something, trying to make things fair amongst 6 board members who I feel should have the opportunity to look at everything as it comes through, instead of, there's 10 items on here that I didn't even see until Friday. I only had a weekend. Staff's not available on the weekend. How am I supposed to ask when somebody's asking for a trailer? How am I supposed to get a hold of someone to find out over a weekend? If that's, why do they need it? Was there other options we looked at? It's nearly impossible to do this. That's why I thought, as it came through, it's no different. All Manager Morella has to do is get it from the staff after they reviewed it 5 or 6 times already. I mean, this is our staff. We hired them because we trust them. We hired them because they do their due diligence, and we hired them because this is what their job is. I'm not a professional trailer. I don't look into trailers or whatever. I mean, how would I know? So the purpose of this is to give all of the trustees an opportunity to receive the information from the manager and review it as they need it, give him the feedback collectively. And like Trustee Fialko said, if it doesn't work, we'll bring it back. I'm not this villain that everyone tries to pretend that I am. I am just trying to make it fair amongst everybody. Not to mention, and Trustee Reinders, if you didn't apply, my apologies, but I have 5 others that applied. Who would you like me to choose? I mean, this is like, I'm trying to be fair amongst everybody.
I don't think that that's a good reason to say why you would get rid of the A&F committee.
Because I want it to be fair amongst all the trustees and give them time to do due diligence. I think that's a pretty good.
I just gave you me doing my due diligence. I read SOP number 1, why we've had an administrative and finance committee for 23 years.
And I do understand that and I appreciate that, but that's also why we have trustees. We have 6 of them.
I'm not comfortable with reinventing the wheel here.
Okay. And then you have the right to vote as you do.
I will.
Any more discussion?
I would just like to say that at the end of the day, this is a divided board. So there's going to be 3 against 3 no matter what, and you're going to break the tie. So basically, it's going to come down to that every single meeting, and it's going to be divided. That's basically how it's going to be.
I hope it's not that way for the remainder of 2 years.
These are going to be very long meetings.
I would hope it would end differently. I hope that after we could start trying to work together. I mean, I really do. And regardless, if it goes to A&F and no matter what 3 it is, and you're saying it's a split board, if I have 1 of them and me and 2 of you, it's still split. So it's still going to come here anyways. Or will it not make it here? Let's be fair. Let's give it a shot. And if you don't want to, that's fine. That's fine. But Trustee Fialko?
As my last comment, it wouldn't matter if we have A&F or we do it the way that you want to do it now. Staff is still going to do the work. Throwing that out there like it was extra work, staff is going to do the work whether it goes to A&F or not. And as much as it went through staff, Joe knows, we hashed some things out. And even though it had gone through staff, there were disagreements as to how certain things were being done. With certain items. And then when we were looking for snow plows, we waited, we brought in the mechanic, and I wanted to hear from the guy that is going to work on the snow plows before we invest $250,000. So the thing is, there were all kind of different things that got broken down during that meeting, but regardless, my point is, staff will always do the work before it gets either to this board or it goes to A&F and then goes to the board. But it surely doesn't give anybody a leg up or any other power by having 3 trustees and the mayor. The mayor was at, President Yukich was at there wasn't an A&F meeting that he missed that I can remember, ever. And he was always there, so it was the 3 trustees. And he selected us. So at that time, or he selected me. Yeah, he selected us. So anyway, my point is that staff is going to be participating no matter what.
Jennifer, did you have something to add? I believe you just said it's a waste of time. Did you want to?
Yes, call the vote.
Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Trustee Stylen? Trustee Mason?
Aye.
Trustee Fialko?
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton?
Aye.
Trustee Consolino?
No.
Trustee Reinders?
No.
Motion carries. Moving on to J2, consider for approval resolution number 23-011, a resolution appointing chairs to standing committees. Need a motion?
I move.
Second.
Trustee Mason, you made the first? Do you have anything?
No, nothing to add.
Trustee McNaughton?
No, thank you.
Trustee Consolino?
No.
Trustee Reinders?
No.
Trustee Fialko? You want me to come back to you?
Yes.
Trustee Stylen?
No.
Trustee Fialko?
I would say no.
You have nothing to add to it?
No.
I don't have anything to add either. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Trustee Mason?
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton?
Aye.
Trustee Consolino?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Trustee Fialko?
Aye.
Trustee Stylen?
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on to J3, consider for approval of mayor's reappointment of Dan Foley to serve as a member of the Village of Homer Glen's Plan Commission.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Is Mr. Foley here? No, he is not. Is there any discussion? I do know that Mr. Foley came highly recommended from the Planning Commission, and they're happy to keep him. Okay, Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Trustee Consolino?
Aye.
Trustee Stylen?
Aye.
Trustee Mason?
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton?
Aye.
Trustee Fialko?
Aye.
Consider for approval the mayor's appointment of John Hand to serve as chairman of the Village of Homer Glen's Plan Commission.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Is Mr. Hand here?
Yes.
Hi, Mr. Hand. Do you have anything you want, I hate to put you on the spot, do you have anything you want to say, or?
It'd be an honor.
All right, you want this, right? Making sure you want this. Okay, any discussion?
No, I just like to say, well, I'll wait a second.
No, discussion, go ahead.
Well, it's not discuss, I just want to congratulate.
Oh, okay, well, yeah. And I also will say the Planning Commission also highly recommended Mr. Hand, and they would be very proud to have you. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Trustee Stylen?
Aye.
Trustee Fialko?
Aye.
Trustee Consolino?
Aye.
Trustee Mason?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton?
Aye.
And John, may I?
Sure.
Address him? John, I would just like to say thank you very much for volunteering your time to this committee. And I've said it before, today you can't even get people to work for a paycheck out there. And here you are donating a lot of your time for the Planning Commission. So thank you very much and congratulations.
Thank you.
J5, consider for approval the mayor's appointment of Lynn McGarry to serve as vice chair of the Village of Homer Glen's Plan Commission.
I'll make that motion.
And I'll second.
Any discussion? I saw Ms. McGarry in the room. Ms. McGarry, do you want this position?
Yes, I'm glad to support John. I don't want him to miss any meetings.
You also came very highly recommended from the Planning Commission as well.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Trustee Reinders?
No.
Trustee Consolino?
No.
Trustee Fialko?
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton?
Aye.
Trustee Mason?
Aye.
Trustee Stylen?
Aye.
Motion carries. Welcome aboard, Lynn.
Lynn, Glenn, I'd like to say the same thing to you. Thank you for volunteering all your time on this committee and spending hours and hours and hours of your own precious time. I know your family is like pillars in the community, though. Paul your son participates on Homerfest committee and helps out tremendously every year. And your family is well committed to the village of Homer Glen and watching over things. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Moving on to J6, consider for approval assigning a Class E liquor license, temporary license, to the Assumption Greek Orthodox Church located at 15625 South Bell Road, Homer Glen, for the Taste of Greece Festival held on July 29th and July 30th, 2023.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
No, it's fabulous. The food is fabulous every year. Keep going back, both days.
Yes, just, I don't know if the trustees are aware, the new trustees, but they do this every year, and it is a fantastic event.
All right. Yeah.
Definitely got to go.
Is that all? Is that, no, any other discussion?
We do have.
Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Trustee Consolino.
Aye.
Trustee Fialko.
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton.
Aye.
Trustee Reinders.
Aye.
Trustee Mason.
Aye.
Trustee Stylen.
Aye.
Okay, J7 and J8 were tabled. Moving on to J9, consider for approval ordinance number 23-031, an ordinance requesting an extension of ordinance 21025 that granted an amendment to the plan use development with an exception to reduce the required parking from 267 spaces to 149 spaces, 2, site plan approval, and 3, a variance to exterior construction standards for certain real property located in the C3 General Business District at 15624 Marion Drive, Homer Glen, Illinois.
So moved.
Second.
Is that Trustee Consolino? Yes. Okay. And then Trustee Reinders. Okay. Trustee Consolino? Do you have any discussion?
Yes. Why is it going down so much over there with the parking?
So this project was approved to not meet required parking, and they asked
Because
for
the
variance, and they showed, if I remember correctly, this was BJ's project at the time, but my memory serves that they presented some traffic information and like IT trip count stuff that supported the land use as it functioned, that supported the lower numbers that allowed for the reduction in parking requirements for the project. So that exception just kind of rides with the PUD. And this is just, they had an extension for a year.
Just because it was such a huge difference, that was what threw me off.
It expired in early June.
Thank you, Melissa.
Trustee Reinders, you second. Did you have anything to add?
No, I was curious why they were just reducing so many, but if it's because the year time is up for them, then
So this is, just to be clear, this is the second extension. Our code allows for the board to grant one, right? And then the board obviously under their. The board has the authority to extend again, and we do have a precedent for some bigger development projects that haven't gotten their feet up or due to recession or due to other things COVID related, where we've extended more than 1 year. So this extension, they got an extension a year ago once their PUD expired, and it extended until June 9th, I believe. And so it'll be up here next month, unless we extend again. Trustee Falco, do you have anything? Trustee McNaughton? Nope. Trustee Mason? Trustee Stylen? No. And I hate to reiterate the microphones, but no, it's okay. It's very important for the recording. Madam Clerk, can you call the roll?
Trustee McNaughton.
Aye.
Trustee Fialko.
Aye.
Trustee Mason.
Aye.
Trustee Consolino.
Aye.
Trustee Stylen.
Aye.
Trustee Reinders.
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on to J10, consider for approval a motion retaining Rudiger, Denali and Associates, Inc., RT&A for professional GIS services for 2023 through 2026. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Trustee Reinders, is there a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Stylen. Trustee Reinders, do you have discussion?
No, we've been using them for a long time, so I don't have a problem with this.
Trustee Stylen, do you have anything?
No.
Trustee Consolino?
And this has been through A&F.
No, not this.
No, it has not.
Not this one? And then,
It should have gone through A&F.
How long have we been using them?
3 years.
3 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, this has gone through A&F.
And everybody's happy with them?
Previously, yeah.
Yes.
If I may speak.
Sure.
Yeah, this is used on a daily basis on multiple staff members for a lot of reasons, especially when residents call in. We can get a nice pictometry of their layout. We can see zoning. So this is used widely throughout the village for a lot of different things, so.
Does any other trustee have anything to add on this? No? All right, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Stylen?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Trustee Consolino?
Aye.
Trustee Fialko?
Aye.
Trustee Mason?
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton?
Aye.
Motion carries. J11, consider for approval a quote from Wiss, Janey, and Elstner Associates, Inc. to provide professional services related to the condition assessment of the Village of Homer Glen Public Works Building for the Village of Homer Glen in the amount of $9,500. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Trustee Consolino, is there a second?
Second.
Trustee Reinders, Trustee Consolino, do you have any discussion?
Yes, so we only have one quote?
Manager Morella, is there only one quote?
Yes, it's a structural engineer quote for the Public Works Building. We found when we were going to go to do the roof, that the roof was not adequate enough to repair because there seems to be some structural issues. We don't know the in-depth of these the structural issues, so it was presented to us that we got this quote to look at the structural condition of it. It was built in the 90s, was built by staff at the road district at the time, so we're just looking to see if it's even safe to put a new roof on and a couple other issues that we see presented. So.
Thank you, Manager Morella. Trustee Reinders, do you have anything?
Brett, do we have have you looked at this roof?
I have not personally looked at it, but it's kind of outside of my expertise. I'm not a licensed structural engineer. We would need a licensed SE to look at it.
Okay, thank you.
So these guys would be the ones for the job.
That would be my recommendation also.
Okay, thanks, Joe.
Trustee Fialko?
Well, you know what, when we go out to bid on, so we know there's a problem, right? Okay, so when we know there's a problem, a lot of times we're looking for contractors to fix the problem, right? Couldn't we be hiring somebody, a contractor, to fix the problem? We know structural engineers that live in Homer Glen. I don't see why we didn't ask them to be in part of the bidding process. So in the process of repairing should be the cost of this estimate to see if it's necessary, or however it's worded here. It doesn't make sense to spend that kind of money when it could be included in the process of the repair, instead of paying somebody to take a look at it, to give their opinion, to tell you, yeah, it does. To me, I can't, unless somebody can tell me differently, I'd rather see it done that way. And with this company, and knowing that we do have structural engineers within our village, that I don't see any input from more than one person, can you help me out? Am I wrong with saying, you know, why don't we look at getting bids to fix and let that be in the bid proposal as far as the cost? And then we can move on from there instead of just getting somebody's opinion for almost $10,000.
So it's my understanding that our facilities manager has reached out to several contractors to come out and look at the roof to assess it. And it seems like the common judgment by them is that nobody wants to touch it without an analysis by a structural engineer. So that's kind of the first step to the process, is to have that analysis. We can certainly look into trying to get additional quotes for this. We have several approved engineering companies that we've reached out to previously. What is it, Farnsworth?
Yeah, it's the SE stamp.
Yeah, so I've reached out to another engineering company, Farnsworth, as well, try and get them to give us another proposal on this. So if you wanted to table this and wait until we got a number from them as well, just to have at least some sort of comparison to it.
I think that is probably good advice.
But this, getting in, yeah.
Trying to look in the direction of getting somebody where it's combined into their into their bill where one company's handling everything instead of divvying up and giving, oh, somebody comes out, the structural engineer, $10,000 to take a look at it. If we can combine that and make it all one, and whoever's, you know, I just think there's a better way, and maybe tabling it would be a better idea.
Understood. Yep.
Trustee Mason?
I agree. I actually had a question mark on that one because of the same reasons that Dan just mentions. If we're able to get somebody, maybe we can actually negotiate a better rate than just looking at it. So I agree with the possibility of tabling it.
Trustee Stylen, do you have anything?
Yeah, I had all the same concerns with only one quote. I did call Brent Woods and ask him about it, and I understand the need for having a structural engineer take a look at it because the project could be very expensive in the long run. But I'll agree with Trustee Fialco with needing, like asking for just one more quote.
Did any trustees have anything else to add? Manager Morella, I do have a question. When I spoke with you earlier, you said we knew about this over a year ago and we never put it through. Now, mind you, this would have been something that would have went through A&F.
Correct.
Why we only have one option over a year?
It's never been easy to get a structural engineer just to come out because we were doing the roof work and we had quotes of $250,000. Nobody wanted to touch it because they felt that the structure of the building wasn't stable. They recommended that we go and find a stamped engineer to even proceed to look at the roofing repairs. So this has been a year-long project to try to get this finished up. Now at this point in time, you know, with the way the building is and obviously there's some structural issues, we were trying to move forward so we can actually make sure it's sound so then we can move forward with construction, we can move forward maybe with a roof. We don't know any of these answers until we know that the structure's sound at this point in time.
Okay. Any more discussion?
So Carmen, is this a liability issue? Is the building currently being used?
The building right now is currently being used. It warehouses some of our materials and our signs and stuff like that. So the building is being used at the time. So yes, it is a library.
So when you say that the structural engineers, you can hardly get somebody to come out, is that because it's a liability issue?
Because they're looking for a stamped civil, engineer, and sometimes those are not easy to come by. It's kind of like the situation we're in with auditors. It's the same scenario. Their liability is so high that you don't see a lot of them.
So as Trustee Fialco mentioned, is there companies that also perform the survey and the work? Are there companies that do the combined, which would help us to reduce cost?
So when Bill went out for this to look for a structural engineer, he probably didn't have that in mind to go for somebody that with the construction also. Now that's not to say we can't go back and do that. By all means, if you guys want to table it, we can definitely get Bill back into the situation where we do both at the same time. We can do that, or we can get a construction cost too.
Thank you.
Any more discussion? It kind of reminds me, I don't know if you guys remember with the township, with the sports center. It was the same, Carmen, do you remember that? It was the same exact thing under Supervisor Myers.
Yep.
With the sports complex. So I understand a little bit more now, so thank you. I agree with Trustee Consolino. Any more discussion? Did you have something?
Yes, Madam Mayor.
Help us.
So now we have a motion to approve by a trustee and a second by another trustee to approve. And now it seems like the consensus is, and I don't want to speak, but it seems like that we want to table this. So I would ask that the trustees that made the motion to approve in the same order make the motion to table. And we can go.
I will rescind my motion to approve, and I will motion to table it.
Do you have a definitive date, or we just?
If we, I don't know, what do you think the chances are by the next meeting? Probably not.
We could shoot for at least the end of June or early August.
Okay.
Does that work?
Yeah.
We skipped over July?
I meant July. I do apologize.
I will rescind my motion to approve this item J11 and vote to table it. A motion to table it.
Yeah,
Second.
Thank you.
Second to table it.
We're good.
Okay. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Fialco.
Aye.
Trustee Consolino.
Aye.
Trustee Reinders.
Aye.
Trustee Mason.
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton.
Aye.
Trustee Stylen.
Aye.
Motion carries. J12, consider for approval the proposal from J&F Concrete lifting for the 2023 mudjacking program. Is there a motion?
I move.
I'll second.
Trustee Mason, do you have anything?
No, I went through it, looks good.
Trustee Consolino?
Nope, I'm good.
Any other trustees? Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Before we move forward, we are recommending,
Oh, yes.
out of the 3 that are here by square foot, Brent, did you, let me see. There's 3 quotes. We used Raise Right last year?
Yeah, we used Raise Right the last several years, so there
Right.
are quite a few years now.
Is that what you're recommending at this point?
No, at this point, it would be J&F. Raise Right was sold to a company this past year, and they're based out of Wisconsin now, and you can see their rates are quite substantially higher than everybody else's. And J&F Concrete it was the lowest, and they actually were the company that picked up most of the employees from Raise Right.
Okay. No, I'm sorry, that is in here. I did not see it right away. Thank you. But we need to put that into the motion?
It's in there.
At the top?
Yeah.
Proposal from J&F lifting.
Oh, it is.
So we have
Okay.
first and second, sorry, and then now they're doing debate.
Okay.
And this would have normally gone to A&F, and we found out about this a couple of months ago. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Trustee Fialko?
Aye.
Trustee Stylen?
Aye.
Trustee Mason?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Trustee Consolino? Aye. Trustee McNaughton?
Aye.
And if I can say one more thing, I'm sorry.
Mr. Woods, did you have something to add?
I know this is only listed in per square foot, but just so the board understands, we always keep this under 25,000 for the whole year.
Thank you, Mr. Woods. Moving on to J13, consider for approval the quote from Door Systems to furnish and install an electric gate system for the public works property of the Village of Homer Glen in the amount of $12,394.
So moved.
Trustee Consolino, is there a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Mason?
I'm good.
Trustee Consolino made the first, right? Trustee Consolino, do you have anything?
No, I'm good with it.
Trustee Mason?
I'm good.
Any of the other trustees?
I do have a question, real quick. As far as having an electronic gate, there's 2 gates over there. There's one to the north, one to, you're talking those gates, but you're only asking for one?
We were going to do one. We were going to do both, and then I don't know why we didn't do.
Quote on the second gate came in really, really high because of the way the gate is constructed. So we wanted to move forward with the one and then look to get ideas to change the gate on the other side. And with budget restrictions, we went with going with the one side first. I presented this to my staff because I feel that there's a safety hazard with this because that gate sometimes on the weekends is left open, not maliciously, just sometimes, going back and forth in and out. And kids are out there playing, and I'm afraid that at one point we may see somebody wander in the Public Works Department, and I just would hate for something unforeseen to happen, so.
Well, with that said, the gate to the south is always open, and in the morning somebody opens them. I'm guessing you don't close them till nighttime. The gate to the south, I believe, has a pretty nice gap underneath it anyway, where something could get underneath it.
Right underneath.
But I'm just wondering, do we absolutely, I mean, if you're only going to use it on one gate, and you can still get in because the gate on the other side is open, I don't see a safety thing being corrected by spending the $13,000 on one gate.
What we're going to do is everybody that has access to it now will have a key fob or whatever system it's going to be used, whether it's a punch key system or a key fob to open it, and that's the gate they would use after hours. They wouldn't use the other one after hours. We'd have them use the electric gate after hours so that when they come in and out, it automatically closes.
So the routine of opening north and south gate, leaving them open for the day isn't going to change. It's just on the weekend you want to have better.
On the weekends and in the evenings when we're not there.
Right. But during business hours, they'll still be.
During business hours, they'll be open. Well, with the electric gate won't. The electric gate will be closed now all the time. It'll just open when the cars run over the pads or that one would typically be the exit. But we're going to have a pad, a key fob opener. I think it's going to be a key fob opener. So that one, when we get both of them, the electric gates, the gates will be closed all the time, the way the townships is. I don't know if you've ever seen the townships. Theirs is closed all the time. You just have to get buzzed in and out.
My last question would be, instead of having them come out twice because we have the 2 gates, wouldn't we get a better deal by doing both of them at the same time instead of fractioning it out and having them come out twice and do the same work but in 2 different locations?
We're trying to reconstruct the other side of the gate. It's not like, right now it swings open like this, and we're looking to put a gate across, but there's going to have to be some work on our end to get to that point. So that's why we're going with the one to make this easier for the winter times or the night times and off-hour times and stuff like that.
All right, thank you.
Is there any more discussion? The only thing I wanted to add was this would have gone to A&F, and this was brought to light over a year ago. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Trustee Consolino? Aye. Trustee Fialko?
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton?
Aye.
Trustee Stylen?
Aye.
Trustee Mason?
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on to J14, consider for approval the White Line Construction, Inc. bid for the 2023 sidewalk and curb repair and replacement program in the amount of $124,550. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion. I'll second it.
Okay, Trustee Mason and then Trustee Fialko. Trustee Mason, do you have anything?
I do not.
Trustee Fialko?
Other than this goes through A&F every year, this is a common thing that gets done within the village every year. As far as, the only thing I'd ask Director Woods is if you could let us know, because I think the public needs to know, you know, the process, if you've got a damaged sidewalk or something in front of your house and you want to get on that list, how do you recommend for the public to get to that point where they're benefiting from this?
Usually what we do is we have them planned a couple years in advance. So we know where we have a lot of bad sidewalks or a lot of bad curbs. We try to confine it to that area. This year we're going to be moving around to a couple of different places. So when we get a call for somebody that has a bad sidewalk, if it's not, there's a standard that our concrete inspector uses, and if it hasn't met that standard, but it is kind of bad, we will put it on for the next year. If it meets the standard, then we will put it on for that particular year. But we have an ongoing list. I started it 2 years ago. We have a spreadsheet that we keep for every call that comes in for this. And surprisingly, we don't have that many on the list. There's not a whole lot of them. But when they do call, they go on a list, and we check it periodically throughout the year to see if it has gotten worse or not. Most of the issues we get from residents are caused by tree roots.
All right, thank you.
We continuously check those.
Madam Mayor?
Trustee Mason?
Brent, so when you get to the sidewalk portion of it, is this basically tearing out the squares, or is this lifting?
No, the bid we just did before this one, that is for the lifting if something can be lifted.
Okay.
This one is strictly for pulling out and completely replacing a pad.
I got you. Thank you, Brent.
Director Woods? Who did we use last year?
For this bid, we used, who did we use last
It
year?
was Davis?
Davis Concrete.
For the we used Davis last year.
And then how much did we spend with Davis last year? Does anybody know?
We spent around $95,000.
It was cheaper last year, okay. Any other trustee have anything to add? Mr. Woods, was this the one that was tabled at the last meeting?
Yes, this is one I asked to be pulled off the agenda for the last meeting.
Okay, and it was less expensive last year, but the quotes you got this year,
I apologize?
it was less expensive last year.
It was less expensive last year. The quotes have gone up, but they went up for everyone, so.
And the person we used last year, the quote was in par with the rest of them, correct?
Yeah, the person we used last year was, it was almost the same price. Oh, it's right here on the screen.
Yeah.
Close, it was $200.
Okay, just to reiterate that.
Yeah.
Any more discussion? Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Trustee McNaughton?
Aye.
Trustee Mason?
Aye.
Trustee Fialko? Trustee Consolino?
Aye.
Trustee Stylen?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on to J15, consider for approval the purchase of an enclosed trailer for Public Works in the amount of $7,917.
So moved.
Trustee Consolino, is there a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Mason, Trustee Consolino, do you have any discussion?
No, I know it is a necessity. And so we're going to go with the Big Rex? Or no, we're going with Funk's trailer, sorry, for $7,000.
Funks, yes. Trustee Mason, do you have anything?
Yeah, Brent, on this one, so what is the gross vehicle weight for this?
It's listed in here, I think.
Because I don't see one here. I see it on the big text, and I can tell, because I happen to be in the transportation business, what that will pull. So that's kind of what I was wondering.
I can get you that. I don't have it in front of me here, but I can get you. They were very comparable.
Okay.
But I can get it for you. I can tell you that when Pat and I reviewed these, and then I actually, myself, the superintendent and the foreman actually went out, looked at these trailers. We got all the specs on them, and we only selected the ones that would meet our
needs. So it's apples to apples is what you're telling me. So it could be 8,500, it could be 9,500.
Yeah, the gross vehicle weight was very similar to it.
All right, no, I'm okay with that. I just wanted to make sure that, you know, when...
it was more than what we actually require.
There you go. And there's a $3,000 differential. I want to make sure we're getting what we're paid for, so to speak. Thank you, Brett.
Trustee McNaughton, do you have anything? Trustee Stylen?
No, I just want, now it's working, sorry. The reason that one of the reasons that we need this trailer is because we've taken over the mowing of 159th Street, so I see the value in getting it.
Trustee Reinders?
No.
Trustee Fielko, you have spoken? Or
I haven't yet.
Okay.
As far as the trailer, I'm all good with helping out, you know that, for Public Works. And the only question I would have, though, is did we make an effort to use a local business to provide that trailer? I always liked, in A&F, you know how I was, I always wanted us to make sure we're including a local business and where they're benefiting from that before we kind of go outside if we don't have to. And on here, I don't know, even if through Shorewood, we could have taken and made some kind of movement that way to see if they could have helped us out in getting what you're looking for.
Well, Big Tex Trailers is a Homer Glen business.
Big Text is?
Yeah, they're...
Okay.
Yeah, they're a Homer Glen.
But Funk's trailer, are they Homer Glen?
Yeah, but what about?
The Big Tex is at 13515 West 159th.
No, Funk's trailer.
Funk's trailer is out in Morris?
Yeah, so they're not a local business.
No, Funk's is not, but Big Tex is.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. As far as that goes, the difference between the two here is a lot, but doesn't Shorewood provide that kind of thing too, where they could have been included?
Yeah, Shorewood, not that I know of, we couldn't get one at Shorewood.
They don't sell trailers.
They sell lawnmowers and things like that, but we couldn't get the trailer from them.
Okay. I'm all for going forward with this, but in the future, if we could take and make sure we try to provide more, other businesses within Homer Glen, I think would provide that besides just that one.
This was the only one that we could find that sold trailers in Homer Glen. Because knowing what we...
I'll call my...
Knowing how we did this, with the lawnmowers, we went with the...
Right.
Different companies.
I know, and as far as...
So knowing that, we
provides
anticipated
trailers for
that, so we wanted to
equipment.
get as many as we could. We couldn't find any.
Okay, I'll find
There were some out, and we visited some out in Frankfurt, there were a lot around.
But our season is here, you need the trailer now, so I get it.
And we looked it up, Brett, the gross vehicle weight of that is comparable, and it's a $3,000 savings, so again, we appreciate that.
And we don't need a storage shed for it, right?
No.
Right? You got place.
No, in fact, this is going to be our storage. We're going to use this for storage so we can keep it outside.
All right, thank you.
Was there any more discussion? The only thing I want to add, just like I have been doing, we knew about what this would have been brought to A&F in November. And the only reason why I'm reiterating these dates and when we found out about this in A&F is to educate the public on what types of things go to A&F and when we found out about it. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Trustee Consolino?
Aye.
Trustee Fialko?
Aye.
Trustee Stylen? Aye.
Trustee Mason?
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Motion carries. I'd also like to apologize that we're sharing a mic up here. If we can get another mic for next meeting, that'd be great. All right, moving on to J16, consider for approval the purchase of an open trailer for the Village of Homer Glen Parks Department in the amount of $5,250. Is there a motion?
So move.
Trustee Reinders, is there a second?
Second.
Trustee Consolino, is there any discussion? Trustee Reinders, you can go first.
Basically, the Parks Committee does need this. I mean, they're carrying, they're going back and forth getting our Christmas equipment and going back from different facility to facility with lawn equipment, so they definitely need this. But I would add, we only have one quote for this for 52.
We did get 3 proposals, but this one came in at the lowest, and seeing that we got proposals from big tech and stuff, they all were higher than this quote here. This trailer sits a little lower to the ground than normal, because we have issues with some of our big trailers that we can't get the lawnmowers off.
Right.
So this would be more advantageous for that.
Sorry, Trustee Consolino, did you have anything to add? No, thank you. Trustee Fialco?
Not at this time, thank you.
Trustee Mason?
Yeah, and I actually looked at this too, and being that it's an open flatbed, lowered to the ground, and it has the same GVWR, gross vehicle weight.
Sure.
That actually it's a pretty good deal.
Okay, trustees, whatever you just said, Trustee Stylen?
No, I don't have.
Trustee McNaughton? The only thing I wanted to add, again, A&F, found out about it last year, is Manager Morella, I heard you say we had 2 other proposals. I know they don't match, it's not apples to apples, I get that. But if we could at least, so we can see what people are giving us, I just think it would be nice to be added, if we can.
Thank you.
All right.
We agree.
Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll? Oh, you got your own, look at that, how'd that happen? Oh.
That one. Trustee Fialco?
Aye.
Trustee Consolino? Aye. Trustee Mason?
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Trustee Stylen?
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on to J17, consider for approval the release of the letter of credit for Good Life Physical Therapy located at 14753 South Founders Crossing off of Bell Road.
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Fialco, is there a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Mason, Trustee Fialco, do you have any discussion?
No.
Trustee Mason, do you have any discussion?
No, ma'am.
Trustee McNaughton?
Nope.
Trustee Stylen?
No.
Trustee Consolino?
I'm good.
Trustee Reinders?
Nope.
Okay, would have went to A&F 2 months ago. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Mason?
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton?
Aye.
Trustee Consolino?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Trustee Stylen?
Aye.
Trustee Fialco?
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on to J18, consider for approval an audit engagement letter with Cajun Hayes Ltd. fiscal years ending April 30th, 2023 for $28,500, April 30th, 2024 for $29,925, and April 30th, 2025 for $31,425 with optional years 2026 and 2027. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Trustee Consolino, is there a second?
I'll second.
We're going to give it to Trustee Fialco. Trustee Consolino, any discussion?
Who did we use before this?
We used the CPA firm Mueller. They were formerly known as Mulcahy Par Salvador. Late in February, early March, they notified me that they were not going to submit for an audit, the current year audit. They're getting out of that sector. Lots of CPA firms are doing that right now. So I did mention that back at the A&F back in March, I believe, but we haven't had one since. So I did get the 2 engagement proposals that from 2 firms that are qualified in that government sector, and I've also have extensive experience working with them also.
John, do the costs seem similar
Yes.
from what we had before?
Yes, the Mueller engagement was a 3-year engagement, and for fiscal '22, we paid approximately $25,000. Quite honestly, it was a good deal. We did, the scope of the engagement grew with the road district merger, so we really did get a lot of value out of that contract, and I'm actually quite pleased with the numbers that we received from both the CPA firms here They're both pretty fair, actually.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sawyers. Trustee Fialko, you second. Did you have anything to add?
The only thing, is it necessary that we go that far out? I know the optional years for 26 and 27, but if we went 2 years, I notice, what I do notice is the increases, I don't know if they did a percentage with their increase or how they came up with their increases to go up in the increments that they went up, but you did say the last, like this last time that we had, the last report that we got, I don't remember the cost of that. Do you remember what the cost was on that report?
Well, all in, it was about $25,000.
25, okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
it was
we're going...
it was a tiered, excuse me, but it was a tiered engagement like this. And we're a growing municipality, so I think there actually is value in going out farther. If you have to rebid this every year, you'll probably have higher costs.
So the difference between last year and this year is $3,500 about, right? And then each of those years, you're 15 and then 2,000. I haven't looked at the other, but the option that we have there, we have to decide for that option now, or is it optional when we get to that point?
It's optional at that point. We're not obligated to for the 4th and 5th year.
Well, you're our money man, and if you are making this recommendation to go forward with this firm, correct?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And I'm guessing we did as good as we could do as far as looking at local businesses. I think you and I had that conversation at the last A&F meeting in regards to this. So if it is your recommendation and you're our numbers guy, I can't see why we would not move forward with that.
Trustee McNaughton?
No.
Trustee Mason?
Yeah, I see that it goes up an average of $1,400. Is that and that's year over year, and that's probably because we're locking in till 2025. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Yes, and that's,
thank you.
Their staff gets increases. We will be significantly bigger in these years, and the scope of the engagement will go up. We'll get value out of these extended years, in my opinion.
And there's no doubt in my mind. I was just looking at it, thinking of the cost of living that goes up every year anyway, and actually for $1,400, I think it's a good deal.
Trustee Stylen?
No comment.
Trustee Reinders, did I call you? No?
Comment.
Okay. The only thing I have is this would have went to A&F 3 months ago. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Fialko?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Trustee Stylen?
Aye.
Trustee Mason?
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton?
Aye.
Trustee Consolino?
Aye.
Motion carries. J19, consider for approval a proclamation declaring April of 2023 through April of 2024 to be the year of the I&M Canal to celebrate its 175th anniversary. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Mason, was there any discussion, Jennifer? Or Trustee Hensley, I'm sorry. No. Trustee Mason?
No, ma'am.
Trustee Reinders? Trustee Fialko?
I was just, who had asked for this to be put on the agenda?
I and the mayor.
I'm sorry?
Me and the mayor.
I did?
Remember, it was an email. This is from the 75th anniversary I&M. So it's something that, it's a heritage of this village and what we've done in Homer for many, many years.
Okay.
Even though we're part of Illinois, you know, Lockport is a different city. This always trickled into Homer at one point in time. So I always feel very strong with the history of our community, and this is a big part of that.
Does this parallel with Lockport's doing the same thing then? I mean, we could...
I'm not sure if Lockport's doing the same thing as us here. I know that Homer...
All right, I don't mind doing it. It was just a question because the canal doesn't go through here, but we are part of the corridor, I guess. So...
You want me to read this?
Thank you.
Do you guys want me to read the proclamation? Yeah. Okay, the 175th anniversary of the I&M Canal, Illinois and Michigan Canal National Heritage Area Proclamation. The I&M Canal opened in 1848 to connect the American heartland to New York Harbor on the east and to New Orleans to the south by water, thereby extending the Great Lakes to the Mississippi River. This water highway became an important transportation corridor, enhancing commerce trading. It brought people and capital to Illinois and was instrumental in the development of the towns along its waterway. Whereas the I&M Canal, upon completion, linked the Illinois River and Lake Michigan, finalizing all water route from New York to New Orleans and establishing a water highway to the west, and whereas the 96-mile I&M Canal ushered in a new era in trade and travel and set the stage for Illinois to become our nation's most populous inland empire and home to the nation's greatest inland port, and whereas the I&M Canal gave birth to the growth of the Illinois cities of Chicago, Lamont, Lockport, Seneca, Shanahan, Utica, Joliet, Ottawa, Morris, LaSalle, Peru, and whereas the Illinois-Michigan Canal was designated as the National Historic Landmark in 1963 and our nation's first National Heritage Area in 1984, and the Canal Corridor Association designated the coordinating entity for the Illinois and Michigan Canal National Heritage Area in 2006, and the Village of Homer Glen within its boundaries designated by the U.S. Congress. Whereas today, visitors, residents, and school children can visit the Illinois-Michigan Canal National Heritage Area from Chicago to Peru and enjoy the historical, cultural, and natural resources, including its many trails, prairies, historical canal towns, museums, attractions, and festivals, including experiencing a ride on a mule pulled by a canal boat. Now, therefore, I, Christina Knightsky Troike, Mayor of Village of Homer Glen, do hereby affirm a commitment to commemorate the 175th anniversary of the opening of the I&M Canal and to promote Illinois and Michigan Canal National Heritage Area, IMCNHA, as we join others in celebrating its 175th anniversary by declaring April 2023 to April 2024 as the year of the I&M Canal. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand this 24th day of May in the year of our Lord 2023, and of the independence of the United States of America, the 247th. That was interesting.
Very, very good.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
And if
I
anybody
apologize,
has
I
a
didn't read that
chance-
beforehand, but that was interesting.
If anybody
Pulled by
has a
mule?
chance to check out the museum in Lockport, it's got a very good historical background on the I&M Canal. I've always had the passion for it since I was in high school, and we took a tour there, and I definitely think anybody that would like to travel that way, they should check it out.
Can we travel by mule, as it says? That'd be fun. All right, sorry. That was pretty interesting. All right, Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Trustee Mason?
Aye.
Trustee Fialko?
Aye.
Trustee Consolino?
Aye.
Trustee Stylen?
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Motion carries. I don't know why I gave you the mic again. J20, consider for approval payment of the Village of Homer Glen's April legal bills for Mahoney, Silverman, and Cross LLC in the amount of $1,511.25.
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Fialko, is there a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Mason, any discussion? Trustee Fialko, you can go first.
Nope.
Trustee Mason?
Ma'am.
Trustee Consolino?
No.
Trustee Reinders? Trustee Stylen? Trustee McNaughton? Oh, back to Trustee Fialko.
One question to the village mayor. Have you reviewed the billing from, and this is something I always, I always
You always
ask
ask,
in
yes.
A&F.
I have.
Has the review of the bill
Yes.
been approved by you, I guess? You've looked it over, okay?
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. My point exactly, Trustee Fialko. This would have went to A&F. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Stylen?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Trustee Mason?
Aye.
Trustee Consolino?
No.
Trustee McNaughton? Aye. Trustee Fialko?
Aye.
Motion carries. J21, consider for approval payment of the Village of Homer Glen's April legal bills from Legislative Attorney Odelson, Stark, Murphy, Frazier, and McGrath, LTD, in the amount of $3,264.46.
I'll make that motion.
Give it to Trustee Fialko. Trustee Consolino can second. Trustee Fialko, do you have any discussion?
Again, Carmen, you've looked over this billing, and you're okay with everything that's on here? Okay.
Trustee Consolino, did you have anything? No. Trustee Reinders?
No.
Trustee McNaughton?
No.
Trustee Mason? Trustee Stylen?
I have a question.
Sure.
So some of this was for union negotiations, so are they done with, we're done with using them for the union negotiations? Okay.
I would rather hear that from you, if it is or not. Where are we? I'd like to know from you guys where we're at with that also.
Yes, we are taking over the negotiations. Deanna Rosenbaum Hall from my office has been in touch with the attorney for Local 150, Anna Pistachio, and I believe we sent the letter over, Carmen, to Mr. Odelson's office for a copy of the file.
Correct, it was emailed, and there was a phone conversation, so he knew he received it. He did receive it, and he is aware of it.
Okay, so when we get it, we'll get going.
Yep, just.
One more thing, adjudication. Olson and Stirk was doing adjudication, and I don't see it as part of the bill here, but is adjudication also being released to another law firm? Or is Olson Stirk still handling adjudication?
Peterson, Johnson, and Murray is handling the adjudications. Mike Pasquinelli attended last night with the building code department.
Okay. So your firm?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion?
No, that's it.
Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Trustee Fialko?
Aye.
Trustee Mason?
Aye.
Trustee Stylen?
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton?
Aye.
Trustee Consolino? Aye. Trustee Reinders?
Aye. Motion carries. J22, consider for approval the appointment of Mayor Pro Tem, Trustee Susanna E. Stylen. Is there a motion?
I move. Make that motion.
Trustee Mason?
Second.
Trustee McNaughton? Trustee Mason, do you have anything?
No, ma'am.
Trustee McNaughton?
No, thank you.
Trustee Consolino?
No.
Trustee Reinders?
No.
Trustee Fialko?
I do.
Please feel free.
And it's not to put sour grapes out here, but there's history, there's tradition, and there's protocol. And in the past, while I've been on this board for 2 years, 1 year it was Beth Rogers' turn, and she was the senior trustee. That's how it goes. And as much as people may have had indifferences, they voted for the person who was the senior trustee. The second year, it was Trustee Pasmino, and everybody voted in favor of the senior trustee. In this case, we have a freshman trustee who would not fall into the line of being the senior person. Now, I'll vote yes, I guess, but I still thought it needed to be spoken that you're going way outside of the parameters of what has never been done in the past. Now, you have that right to do that, but I think we had the conversation. I thought it would be nice to reach out to Rose because she also ran for mayor, and that didn't work out. I understand that. But the way it works is for the senior person, that goes by the next group of people who are the senior trustees, and it goes by the person that got the most amount of votes. And Sue would not be in that category. I don't even want to say who that person would be because it doesn't really matter. But the right way to do it would be to put the senior person in that position as history, as protocol, and as tradition would call for it. So I don't know why we steered away from that. I think we had the conversation and you said that's what was asked for by somebody, and that's fine. But it surely, I mean, you guys, and I don't mean to even put it in that category, you guys, but the promise was made that we were going to bring this board together. And if there was one little thing that could be done to show that, this would have been it. And I don't, in this move here and making this happen and not following tradition, history, and protocol, I think is a mistake. But if you guys want to move forward without amending it to who would be the senior trustee at this point, then you will. But I just thought it's important to put that out. And someday it may be you in the same position. And I wanted to give the history that it's been done correctly all the way up until now. So that would be all I have to say. I'm a little hurt by it, I will tell you that. And I don't think it's fair to the community, this board, the residents, or any part of the process that we have here that this is being done.
Thank you, Trustee Fialko. I do want to address your comments, but with due respect to the remaining trustees, Trustee Stylen, did you have anything to add?
All I can say is that I'm ready to do that. I think there's more to appointing somebody to a position besides how long they've served. I think that there's other matters to consider. So I don't think there's anything written that it has to be a senior trustee or who got the most votes. So I'm happy to accept.
Thank you, Trustee Steinle. So, yes, this is my appointment, and yes, this was a very hard decision. Trustee Fialko, you are correct. I did reach out to you. I actually reached out to you to say I had a struggle between you and Trustee Steinle. You did suggest that I reach out to Trustee Reinders, seeming we both ran for mayor. I did attempt to do that. As you know, my phone number was blocked. You yourself had reached out, and your response, which I will not repeat, was more or less, no thank you. I did go back and...
Well, I want to be clear about something first, if you don't mind.
Yeah, please.
It wasn't me that said no.
No, right. I'm sorry if I wasn't clear.
Said no thank you.
Correct. I'm sorry.
So I want to make sure that's clear. 'Cause
Yes.
I did say to you, I accept if you...
Yes.
And I gave it away. I was the one with the next amount of votes that would have put me as a senior trustee. And anyway.
Thank you. Yes. So there is no written rule of who goes next or who becomes the mayor or mayor pro tem. So that just so everybody knows, there's no written rule. And we did talk. I do feel personally that it should be the senior trustee. I 100% agree with you. My struggle came to, yes, again, we have a divided board, and I want to somehow eventually bring this board together. I'm getting there, Dan, I'm getting there. With us still being divided at this time and olive branches not being accepted and all what we see what's going on out there, I think for the first year I would ask for Trustee Steinle, and then the next year I would ask for you. I made that very clear to the other trustees that that would be the way. I'm hoping more unity would be on this board, and it would be wise for me to have Trustee Steinle to do. If I don't plan on missing any meetings, but if I do.
Madam President?
Yes, Trustee Mason.
I think Sue has all the morals, ethics, and integrity. She guided me through a lot of things during the election cycle, and I think that Sue couldn't be a better person for that position at this point.
I appreciate those sentiments. I will also say I do agree that Trustee Fialko also has shown many olive branches. He has been, I think I told you earlier today, he's becoming my favorite trustee. So he is extending many olive branches. I just hope, you know, this one appointment does not break that olive branch. And it is a very hard choice. But my vision as mayor does align a little bit more with Trustee Steinle, and God forbid something does happen, I would like Trustee Steinle to step in those shoes. Like I said, I don't plan on missing any meetings, especially this first year. I think my second year I have a vacation planned, but other than that, I do apologize, Dan. Don't be mad at me.
I also, I support Trustee Steinle for year one, and I would offer my support to Trustee Fialko for year two at this point.
Any other words? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Steinle?
Aye.
Trustee Consolino?
No.
Trustee McNaughton?
Aye.
Trustee Mason?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders?
No.
Trustee Fialko?
No.
Mayor Knightsky-Trokey?
Aye. Okay, moving on to J23. Consider for approval ordinance number 23-032, an ordinance amending section 5-2A of the Village of Homer Glen Code of Ordinances regarding regular meeting time. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Mason, is there a second?
I'll second.
Trustee McNaughton. Trustee Mason, do you have anything?
I don't.
Trustee McNaughton?
Do not.
Trustee Steinle?
No.
Trustee Fialko?
I believe that changing this time is possibly going to be a hardship on the public, you know, for the people to attend this meeting, being that 6 o'clock is dinner time. People are getting home from work at about 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock. They have to settle in. In the summertime at 6 o'clock, it's still pretty hot out. Where 7 o'clock, it's a little bit less with the heat. And as far as the people being able to attend, again, I think this is one of those things that we could possibly change and see how it goes. But I'm guessing the previous boards and the previous mayors, they got to this number for a reason. I'm sure, I don't know if anybody's got the history on if the hours have ever changed before. You were a trustee before at one time for the village. So
It's always been 7.
it's always been 7 o'clock, okay. So after how many years, we're now trying to change this? I don't have any objection to, I mean, on these days, you know, a lot of things happen when we have a village board meeting on the day of. There's a lot of calls to the village manager, to staff, to try and get the dust settled and to get prepared for the meeting. And sometimes I'm working right up until 6:15, 6:30 before I get here myself to figure things out. So I guess we could try it and see how it goes, but I think we should be staying at 7 o'clock myself, but I'm willing to try it.
Trustee Reinders?
For me, it's going to prove very difficult to get here at 6 o'clock. Wednesdays are my ordering days at the restaurant, so it is going to be very difficult. I would really prefer to keep it at 7 o'clock.
Trustee Cancelino?
Is there a particular reason why?
It was just a suggestion. Staff also loved the idea because they have to stay here after work hours, so they're just staying longer. I thought moving it up would be easier. I have young kids that I'd like to put to bed, especially since we're having longer meetings. It wasn't so much about me, it was about other residents in my situation as well. To be honest with you, it doesn't matter to me if it's 6 or 7. Honestly, it doesn't. It just, I knew it mattered. I was trying to help out staff a little bit more, and when I had spoke to the Trustee McNaughton, Mason, and Stylen, they were okay with it. Knowing that there was 3, I wanted to reach out to one other, obviously Trustee Fialco, and he didn't seem, the question he had was, you know, what about the residents, how are they gonna feel? Thought we'd give it a try, and if not, we can move it back, or we can leave it at 7. To be honest with you, personally, I don't have a preference. But I believe it's better for staff staying the extra hour. Trustee Fialco.
I almost think that it might work better when it's summer hours, that we stay at 7 o'clock, and then with the winter hours, we could move it up a little bit. Maybe we could kind of seasonally kind of look at it that way. Maybe that would be an option. But I thinking about it for right now, 7 o'clock, I think would be I think we should stay at 7 o'clock till we get like till October. And then if you want to change it till 6 o'clock, move them up for 6 months to 6 o'clock because it gets darker and all that. That would be where I'd be at with it. I'd like to maybe be a 6-month thing.
Well, with all due respect to Trustee Reinders, if she's stating right now that it's going to be an issue with her work schedule, I would not want her to have the meetings affect her work.
And I definitely will be late, that's for sure.
We don't want that.
We don't want, just what Trustee Fialco said. Trustee Stylen?
I just want to add, I did have difficulty a little bit with this, but I was willing to go along with it to try it. And I do like Trustee Fialco's idea of maybe waiting till the fall.
Sure.
You know, we can revisit.
Trustee Mason?
Madam President, I agree. I don't care either way, but we also work in the mornings. And I can see this going the other way for the residents as well when we stay till, never-ending hours.
Trustee McNaughton?
Agreed. I'm comfortable either way, willing to maybe change it up during daylight savings on and off.
Manager Morella?
Well, talking to staff, they were elated in getting to 6 o'clock. So I can't, I don't want to say that it's a deterrent, but we're here. We're here to support the board. So whatever you guys decide, we'll accept that. So
We're trying. We'll leave. I mean, I'm not saying one way or the other. I do want to, all due respect to Trustee Reinders as well, I don't want her to be late or have to leave work early. We do care about our staff, but I'm sorry. Well, it's up to them, but please don't make me be the tiebreaker. Any more discussion?
Yes. I mean, I would love to support the staff on this. Is it possible to do a half hour, 6:30?
Trustee Reiners, would that make a difference to you?
That would make definitely
Just
a
a
difference.
win-win for both,
Suggestion.
you know?
Is that doable?
Would 6:30 be doable, Trustee Reiners? Try it?
I could try it.
Residents, what do you guys? Yes, is that okay? Okay. No, I don't know.
Some do it during the day, sometimes some have one at night, one during the day. Most villages that have a heavy agenda like we do start a little earlier, like it's being suggested here, so.
I know that a lot of the committees start a lot earlier, and I do know that even like the fire department, I think their meetings are 9 o'clock in the morning on a Wednesday or Saturday or something crazy. It's just an option.
Madam President, so should I make a motion to amend the motion?
Well, I wanted to make sure that it was okay with Trustee Reinders first. I didn't get an
She
answer.
said
Yeah.
6:30 is good. So a
6:30.
motion to amend by,
Yeah.
Yes. I'd like to make a motion to amend the motion to 6:30. Is that?
Motion to amend,
You have to rescind first.
yeah,
I'd like to
motion to
rescind the
rescind,
original
motion to
motion
approve.
and make a motion to move it to 6:30, please.
You were second.
And I will rescind my second and reaffirm my second for the motion to amend.
To 6:30.
good.
We're halfway there, staff. Okay, Madam Clerk, can you call the roll?
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Trustee Stylen?
Aye.
Trustee Mason?
Aye.
Trustee Consolino?
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton?
Aye.
Trustee Fialko?
On the motion to amend to the time to 6:30, aye.
Motion carries. Okay, moving on to,
We have to do the main motion now.
no, they rescinded.
They rescinded.
The main motion.
Okay. And that's good for, okay.
Well, do you feel more comfortable making a motion to approve the
Usually-
amended motion? All right, so let's have a motion to approve the amended motion. Okay.
But they rescinded it. They made a motion to
I think we're
rescind.
good, I think we're good with the way that,
All right, we're good.
Okay, moving on to 24. Consider for approval ordinance number 23-033, an ordinance amending section 5-3B of the Village of Homer Glen Code of Ordinances regarding the order of business or agenda for the transaction of business at regular village board meetings conducted with the Village of Homer Glen, Will County, Illinois. Is there a motion?
I motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Trustee McNaughton, do you have anything?
I do not.
Trustee Mason, do you have anything?
No, ma'am.
Trustee Consolino?
Yes, I love the community recognition, but I want to know why we're removing invocation.
Is there a question for me?
Who requested the item on the agenda?
Well, I will say this, after discussing with some trustees, obviously, we know who, I think the residents, when, a few months ago, residents were saying that they would like to keep invocation out. I don't have a problem with invocation. My thing is, when we do invocation, and watching the history of the invocations that happened in the past, there was a lot of prayer, there was a lot of prayers that really, this is a very touchy subject, but I go to church every Saturday at 4 o'clock. I do my prayers there. I don't necessarily think some of the prayers that were stated or invocations that were stated, some of them kind of seemed as a dig to some, you know. I think this board needs a little bit more than prayer at this time. I think we need to start focusing on us, recognizing the community more, working together. That's just my personal opinion. I've had many residents say they'd like it removed. It's something that was brought to me and I'm putting it out there.
I think invocation can be non-denominational. It's a shame that some people abuse it. I don't think that a few voices should outweigh the many, because I've heard from a lot of people that they were very happy that the board was doing it. And there are other boards nearby that are doing it as well. So even a moment of silence is, I think, what they usually do at the Will County Board. I mean, anybody can have a turn. And I think, in all fairness, everybody needs a little bit of guidance at this point. And I only think that it brings positivity. I don't see negativity coming from it. And I'm sorry if there's a few voices that feel that way, but no, I disagree with removing that.
I don't have an exact number of how many people asked for it removed. I've heard some that would like to keep it as well, but majority of what I've heard was, it's not necessary, I do my prayers at home. I've actually had deacons, priests, pastors all come up to me and say it's not necessary at a board meeting. Again, it's something that I can go, either way, but it was brought to my attention, so I thought I'd put it out there.
Like I said, a few voices don't outweigh.
Trustee Fialko?
I was the one that brought that forward because the support of people from the village and our review of Lockport does it, the state senate does it, Nicole, Trustee Laha was here, explained it, that they do it. Every village does some form of invocation. Now, you can't always control what somebody says during invocation. They're speaking from their heart most of the time. Because we have 3 people out there on Facebook complaining about invocation is no reason to remove invocation.
That's an assumption.
From our, what's that?
That's an assumption.
No, that's my observation.
Your observation of 3.
Yes, 3
But I'm saying I had people.
Yes, I'm sure you have. In the meantime, it's done in many different places. We had, for the trustees that weren't here, Legislative Council was here and gave a great explanation of there is no violation of church and state. It's gone through the Supreme Court. It has nothing to do with it. Invocation is a message or just a getting together and having a couple words of unity in a lot of cases, sometimes a moment of silence. So when people take it out of context to be able to control something because they don't like the word, I think it would be shameful for us to remove that when we have great examples of everything from the federal end to the state end to local municipalities and villages that do it. And I think before you would make any move to remove invocation, and we might want to look at this a little bit harder, I don't see how it hurts. When it'd be like removing the Pledge of Allegiance next. Is that next? I mean, that I don't agree with moving something as simple as that. And even Trustee Laha had said this can be a beautiful thing when we voted on it, and it can be. And to remove that would be a shame. To remove that from the agenda. Now, I do have other things. Did you want anybody else to just comment on? Because you had a lot of stuff on here.
Why don't we
and I almost think we should go through one item at a time because I'm not happy with a lot of this.
Okay, well, then that's what it's here for. That's why we're here to discuss it.
So do we have to vote on each one of the items that's stricken?
No, we can make a consensus of what we think and then mend it all together.
It got confusing last time we did it that way.
Well, since we're on invocation, Trustee Reinders, did I skip over you?
Why don't we go around the room on invocation and we can...
I have no problem with invocation. I mean, the Senate does it. I mean, all of our government bodies, they all have a moment of either silence or they say something they say something at some point in time. So getting rid of invocation to me is just because there's a few people out there that are worried about, Satan and devil worshipers and all their things that they talk about. I don't think it's any reason to get rid of invocation. And the other thing is amendments to the agenda.
Wait, we're just talking about invocations first.
About that? All right.
Yeah, and we'll go one at a time. Trustee Mason, I'm sorry.
Yes, I've heard it both ways. I'm a strong advocate of separating church and state, and I know, Dan, we had spoke on this as well. I've heard people use it right here in this room as a personal message. I've also had some of my own neighbors and constituents come to me and tell me why, because we're just opening the door for other things to transpire, and I'm not seeing it being used as unity at this point. Now, maybe at a later date, we could. I don't know.
Trustee McNaughton? Trustee Stylen?
Yeah, I disagree with Trustee Fialko. If it's, at one time, most people were Christian in this country, and maybe it was a different invocation from a different denomination, but it's not just non-denominational, because you could have somebody else come in here in prayer and pray to a God that I don't pray to, and I'm not comfortable sitting in a room and supporting a prayer to a God that I don't believe in. So I don't want to be put in that position, And I'm all for a moment of silence would be okay. And if somebody wanted to make a public comment and make a prayer to their God, I would support that. But I don't think that this board and part of our agenda should be inviting people to come in and pray. That's just my opinion.
Sorry,
It's my turn now.
I am for the moment of silence. I think that's a beautiful thing. I don't agree with your sentiments of it's like removing the Pledge of Allegiance. No. But I do agree that that podium has been used for different purposes than other than prayer. So I just was trying to alleviate any issues and just would like to stick to the points. We've got a long agenda, and Sue stated it, or Trustee Stylen stated it perfectly. If somebody wants to give an invocation during public comment, they can do it right during, if there's someone wanting to give an invocation, they can do it right during the public comment. There's nothing stopping them from doing that. Trustee Fielko, go ahead.
Well, when you say when the public was never really invited to do invocation. If you go back on our video when it was approved, it was supposed to be from staff or this board. It wasn't supposed to be where we reached out to the public to do that. That has never been the thing. And as far as using the podium for, I don't remember one instance when anybody gave invocation, except one time Mr. Westcott did. He went to the podium and spoke, and he's from the village. But I didn't see it used as any kind of weapon. Invocation isn't necessarily about God. It's about the process. It's about communicating and working together and just saying, hey, let's work together. This process, this couple of words, is to be able to move forward in unity. How, like I said earlier, though, you can't, from somebody speaking and doing invocation, you can't always control what somebody's going to say. But since we've had invocation for about 6 months now, I've never seen anything negative come from it. And when you say it's to a God, it's not to a God. That is not its purpose. And if you actually take the time to listen to the federal end of it, the legislative end of it in the state, or even take a look where Trustee Laha works and what she spoke about. It isn't, you're taking it out of context as to what invocation is supposed to be about. It isn't about a God. Matter of fact, if you look at number 1, as the asterisk is next to it on the agenda, it says right on there with number 1, the Village of Homer Glen does not endorse any one religious faith. Invocation is intended to lend solemnity to the public meeting. It has, so where you're inserting God as your own words, it has nothing to do with what invocation is.
If I may read the actual definition of invocation, it's a prayer or other formula used in invoking at the opening of a religious service. The act of conjuring a spirit by invocation.
I also do recall that a member of the public, Mr. Walters, did give an invocation once. He's not part of the staff or the dais up here. I believe our first invocation was given by Father, I forgot the
Father Loyal.
Yes, Father Loyal.
And we did talk about
Right. And again, I'm not against it. I just, and your sentiments with Trustee Laha, I've had a different conversation, so rather confusing there. But I will, again, I pray on my own time. I pray for this board actually all the time. I would rather do my prayers in the privacy of my church, in my own mind. And the last couple of times I've heard invocation, not the last couple of times, but there was a few times I heard invocations, and I was rather uncomfortable listening to the prayer, knowing it was a sort of dig towards myself. It's not what prayer is for. But again.
Madam Mayor.
Can I? Oh, sorry.
Consolino.
I just want to state that freedom of religion falls in line with the same amendment that freedom of speech does. So I'm an advocate for freedom of speech.
I'm sorry,
Freedom of religion falls in the same amendment as freedom of speech.
Okay. And they have that freedom of speech at under public comment. as well.
I'd like to actually make a motion to amend to strike, since we're doing one at a time. I'd like to make a motion to amend by removing the strike from number 3 and keeping invocation.
Is there a second?
I will second that.
I'll help you.
Call the roll.
Yeah. Dan?
This is a motion to put invocation back in, first and second. So a yes vote goes to put it back in, a no vote is to keep it the way it is. Would mean striking it through, the way it's presented on the agenda.
And there's...
One more
Can we
time.
vote on mine first?
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to go, I think what we're trying to do is, because it got confusing last time, we're going to go through each one of the points and make a motion to amend each one of the points, and if it passes, we'll put that back in. Then at the end, we'll make a motion to approve the amended agenda as presented, if that makes sense.
Yes, that makes perfect sense.
Okay, that's what we're going to try to do. Well, we haven't
Well, we
decided
haven't
that.
voted yet.
That yet. We have a, Dan has made a motion.
So I want to make sure that I'm clear. So if we say nay, you're putting it back on?
No. Dan has made a motion to remove the strike-through, and Jen has second to remove the strike-through and put invocation back in. They're making a motion to amend the agenda, or amend the ordinance to include invocation. A yes vote is for their position. A no vote would be to keep it the way it is, as with striking it through.
You're not willing to just put it for a moment of silence?
To change it to a moment of silence and every bit of it being a moment of silence? Do you think that kind of covers what the purpose is, though?
Yeah, because if you have a moment of silence, people can pray to whatever they want at that moment.
I would be willing to do that, because I can see the direction we're already headed, bride side, groom side thing. So
Who am I?
I will rescind my motion to remove invocation, or to keep invocation, and then the second needs to be removed. Jennifer?
So I will rescind.
And I would now like to make another motion to include as number 3 as a moment of silence. I need a second.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll? I promise you I'll help you.
Okay. Trustee Stylen?
Aye.
Trustee Mason?
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton?
Aye.
Trustee Fialko?
Aye?
Trustee Consolino?
I will vote aye to changing invocation to moment of silence.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Thank you, Trustee Fialko, for that.
Thank you for working together on it.
I agree.
It's a great idea.
Now what do we move? We're moving on to 4, or no, I'm sorry, 4 is crossed out, 3, where it says roll call, establish quorum. We have to do that.
No, we're on actually 4, where you crossed out amendments to the agenda.
Well, I was going in order so we can read together, but crossed out amendments to the agenda, and we have community recognition. This is.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Right, so that's the next one.
So if I may, I'd like to open it up with an explanation, because I had questions on this myself. When it comes to amendments to the, is everybody okay with me speaking for the first?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so for amendments to the agenda, I had questions to the attorney on, well, how does that work if somebody wants to move stuff around, or how does that, I didn't understand. So I do understand when you get to an item, just like what we did for 11, I believe it was, we tabled it when we got there. Pretty simple, saves time. You get to the item and you say table, fine. When you want to move something, I guess, is the question that I had, and the attorney can explain that. You know, like if you want to move something up, is what I'm saying, or down, or.
Right, and I think it works the same way. We could do roll call. We finish roll call. Somebody could ask to be recognized. Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to advance item number X to this part of the agenda. The Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts are here. they're all here, we want to get them out of here, blah, 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 before we get into business. Let's move it up before public comments. Do I have a second? And then we may vote to advance.
Why take it off the agenda?
Yeah.
Because once the agenda is published, you don't need to amend it. It's in order. The public knows what order we're taking the business in. They know what business we're doing.
But it gets changed pretty much at every meeting.
Yeah.
So why would you remove the space saved on the agenda to do that? What does it assist in?
It seems there's no reason, you don't have to have it.
Well,
I don't see that.
I'd like to take my turn. Robert's Rules of Law does call for amendments to agenda. So amendments to agenda should never be removed. And I'm saying that because you guys have done it. I don't mean to say you guys, but it's been done throughout this whole board, right? Removing amendments to agenda would be a mistake. For one, it is called for in the adoption of, or in Robert's Rules of Law. I believe it is in IML's book. And it is a normal part of the business operation. What I can tell you, just like we did today, that was the right way to do it. When we got to amendments to agenda, I talked to 2 people from the National Association of National Association of Parliamentarians, and I talked to Ansel Link. You can change, with amendments to the agenda, you can change the amendments, you can make amendments to that agenda at that point to any part of that agenda. And just like we did today, once those amendments are made, we then approve the agenda. That's actually in Robert's Rules of Law too, where you should be approving the agenda. Well, you don't want to approve something that you haven't amended, and you may want to switch things around. Getting rid of that would be a mistake. I don't even know if legally we can do that because of what it calls for in Robert's Rules of Law. And just for us, I mean, it's not necessary. In our village code, it says that we are supposed to go by Robert's Rules of Law, and we can change things. That is true. Although we don't have bylaws, we still are able to change things through the code. So the way we did it today with amendments to the agenda, it went perfect. Everybody took their turn. You have any amendments to the agenda? We made the move. We then adopted the agenda, which hasn't always been done, but is supposed to be done, where this board votes now on that agenda. Now, if we want to change the agenda after it's been adopted, it takes a 2/3 majority to do that. So you are adopting your agenda. You're kind of working together to make it what everybody kind of feels comfortable with. The public knows that, and it has nothing to do with announcement to the public. And we made the announcement when we posted. Amendments to the agenda have always been done. And the thing is, it's called for in Robert's Rules of Law. It should remain here. It's a great tool to work with for everybody. Again, I think I said it before, it's another tool in your toolbox. So I would highly recommend not getting rid of amendments to the agenda.
Just if I could, we're still allowing amendments to the agenda. We're not allowing it, right? So you can still make amendments, as I explained. Secondly, I agree with Trustee Fialco on the rest of what he said, the way we did it tonight. What I'm saying is, you can do it another way, which is recognizing somebody that says they want to amend the agenda and advance something, or postpone something, just like the mayor explained. So we're still allowing it. We're not taking anything away from anybody.
At what point? Where does it say that, though?
Okay, excuse me, point of order here. I'm just going to throw this out there. For amendments to the agenda, well, I see that number 4 says community recognition. I think we should leave community recognition where it's at, and then put amendments to the agenda next. And the reason being to leave it is just for clarification purposes, but I will make a request that we not change things around for an hour, moving things here and there, that the village staff continue to work extremely hard on putting anything of first. That's, if we have an attorney here representing somebody, we don't want the attorney sitting here through the whole entire agenda. If there's something, you know, a liquor license or something, we don't need somebody, you know what I'm saying? Put the most important things first, get that stuff out of the way. You guys have been doing a great job. I just ask that we continue to do that.
Community recognition should always come first.
Should always come first, yes.
I agree with
Yes,
But
I do too.
Amendments to the agenda should always be there in
Always be
writing.
on there.
Always.
Right, so right after, so it's community recognition, then amendments to the agenda.
Yes.
But again, I'm asking the board to please, if you have any concerns, I have a feeling we're going to start working together on communication before the meeting on how we're putting things in order.
One part is missing, though. So
What's that?
in combination, you do community recognition after the roll call. That's fine. What we need to do is amendments to the agenda, but there's two parts to it. You have to basically approve the agenda as amended to move forward with the meeting, technically.
So,
we haven't, so like we did it today, that's the right way that it was done.
So amendments to the agenda and then approval of the amendments.
And I think we can all
Just
agree.
approval of the agenda, because we don't, if there are no amendments, then there's nothing to amend, so it just should be
So
approval.
does it need to be two separate numbers, though, or can be amendments?
I think it's easier, Dan, just to make it two separate numbers so we don't forget to do it, because we're amending all the time.
And I don't think anybody's going to dispute that. I think we can all agree on that.
What I'd suggest is that let's disregard the numeration on the left, because as we make them, they're not going to make sense. We'll just have to keep jumbling the numbers. The way we'll do is just in order. So the way that we're now amending it is, so we're going to need a motion to amend. Community recognition will come after roll call, then amendments to the agenda, then approval of the agenda in that order.
Can we keep going? Because I think we agree that approval of minutes should be next, right?
We're not there yet.
Oh, I was going to do it all at once.
I'd like to make that motion then, to move community recognition after roll call and establishing a quorum. And I'd like to also unstrike amendments to the agenda, and beneath amendments to agenda, approval of the agenda as amended.
Or not as
Or just
amended.
Right?
Okay,
Just like we did tonight.
approval of the agenda.
Right, just like we did tonight.
I'll second that.
Okay, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee Fialko.
Aye.
Trustee Consolino.
Aye on all of what we just said.
Trustee McNaughton.
Aye.
Trustee Mason.
Aye.
Trustee Reinders.
Aye.
Trustee Stylen.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, then we're going to continue with approval of the minutes. We agree to keep those up and out of the way?
It stays.
Okay, public comment. So we had it separated before where it was on action items only, or legislation and action items only. I think all public comment should be moved up.
Well, you're talking about 13 then at the same time, yes?
Correct. We're taking those, let's take those in concert. So the striking of 13 and, it's striking 13 and keeping it at 6. Or should we just wait for 13?
I think we can do it all right. Everybody's, I think we can, they both the same. I think
Yeah,
we
I think
can.
it's okay. I'm fine with
We're in
that.
agreement.
So do we need a motion?
No, we don't, we're fine, because what we're saying is as it's presented, it's correct. We're going to strike number 13, and we're going to just make, everybody goes at number 6, right? Or if we're all in agreement?
I'm
fine with that.
But the only reason we did that is that podium was being used as a political launch pad in destroying our meetings in the beginning. And that was the only reason it was done that way.
And it got in the way of business. It prevented business.
And it actually helped, and you double your amount of public comment time technically, but it worked for the time it needed to work. I guess if everybody thinks it's ready to go back the way it was, that's fine with me.
I'm fine with it.
I would love for it to go back the way it was, because there was a lot of politicking at that podium.
Well, we're going to,
No,
Next
that's when
election
it
will
was
be the
done,
same thing,
but
though.
You're putting it back.
okay, you guys, point over, okay, we got it. Schedule, it's number 7 is schedule, or not number 7, but next would be schedule of accounts payable.
Wait, are we going to vote on that?
No, we don't have to, because there's no amendment. We're all in agreement the way it is. So we're just going to move on now to we're just going to go to reports and communications from the president, other
Oh,
officers.
did I miss that?
And now,
Well, no, we had schedule of accounts payable before that.
yeah, but we're not changing it.
Oh, okay.
We just go to what we're changing. That's what we're discussing.
So then we're
We
striking,
should go through, I think you're right, we should go through one at a time, because maybe somebody else wants to change some.
Okay.
So
but if they're okay with schedule, if they're for good with schedule of accounts payable, everybody?
Yeah.
Okay, then we're number 8, that you see there in front of you. Yeah, public comment, okay, reports and communications from president and other officers. I have, as you can see in front of you, village manager would go first. Trust.
Public comment next.
I'm sorry?
Isn't there a public comment on any on any other item,
It's been moved to number 6.
We moved it up already.
Combined into 6.
It's moved up.
Number 6 now.
Mike.
but I already signed in. So I
Oh, yeah, we're not there yet on today's agenda. We're talking about changing it. We're
This
not.
only, right.
Because last time you had it first and now you have it last.
This is
No,
moving
sir,
forward.
I've got it. I've got this.
This is it.
No, sir, point of order, please.
Okay,
Sorry, and I will address that. So,
all right, I'm sitting here all night long.
no. That's
why we're doing this.
That's why we're doing this, so you don't have to sit here all night long next time. Right. Okay, so we have reports and communications from president and other officers, village manager, trustees. I don't know why treasurer was removed, but, or was it ever even in there? I don't even know. Oh, and it wasn't in
Would
there.
you like it to be in there?
The treasurer's report stopped several years ago, probably 6 years ago.
So you probably got
And
a previous.
It's been rolled into the consent as well as the accounts payable.
Okay.
I think when the attorney received this, he may have gotten an old ordinance. Then clerk, you remove the village attorney.
You know why?
I suppose if anybody has a question for me, or they just call on me. I don't really have a report per se. I mean, I don't have anything to report on.
Well, my opinion would be it'd be better to keep it in for you in case you do, because there has been times where it's been used where no one has to call on you to do. You can. I think keeping it for you would be better than to take it away, in my opinion.
You guys agree
I'll
with
go
that?
along with that.
So I'd like to make the motion on this one to remove the strike and keep village attorney in the agenda as E.
I'll second that. Madam Clerk, call the roll. You had an old ordinance.
Trustee McNaughton.
Aye.
Trustee Fialko.
Aye.
Trustee Consolino.
Aye.
Trustee Stylen.
Aye.
Trustee Mason.
Aye.
Trustee Reinders.
Aye.
Thank you.
And then public safety officials remain on there, and then village president at the end.
Well, we had that task force chairperson.
So what happened was they got an old ordinance.
We grabbed the ordinance off the
Website.
and
Oh,
it
it's a
wasn't
right.
latest,
It
but it
So
wasn't
it's
the
not
latest
updated,
version.
yeah. So note to staff, we need to update our website. Okay,
Or I just need the latest ordinances.
okay. So everyone's good with that so far? Then
I
consent,
just have one question. On the, it should list here, village trustees, village clerk, not just trustees and just clerk.
okay?
It's always been village trustees and village clerk.
Yep. Again, old ordinance, that's
just
how
an
it
old
read. So yep, village, we don't need to make a motion
No,
for
I
that?
think we're
Okay.
fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we're moving on where it says consent agenda, legislation and action items. Looks like workshop was moved, and then we already said public comment was removed and moved up. And then we have old business, new business, workshop, executive session, and adjournment. Are we missing anything, or does anybody want to add anything? Now, do we have to add to the agenda sometimes when we go in executive session, sometimes we come out of executive session to vote on things? Do we need to have that, or can we just do that as it comes
The
about?
village manager does that as a course of business. So if we go into executive session and we may take action when we come out, that's when we add that to the agenda. So that is just done not as a matter of this, it's done because of what we're going to do. So if we're going to go into executive session and, we're just, it's informational only, purchase, sale of property, whatever it may be, and we're just talking about it, and we're not going to do anything about it, or possibly settling a lawsuit, and we're getting authority to the attorneys to settle it, but we're not going to take any action because they have to report back if they settle it. We're not taking any action, so there's no reason to have.
I just didn't know if it had to be in the ordinance.
No, I don't.
Okay.
The village
And it would be
manager.
added right after exec.
Right.
Village President, do you want to ask staff if they have any input?
Yeah, sure. Do you guys have anything you want to add? Was there a staff, or we don't need to add staff reports, because that would come from village manager.
You guys don't want to do staff reports?
We would be here all night.
Speak now or forever hold your peace, y'all here.
No, they leave me out there to swim.
Individual staff report?
Okay, so anybody else have anything to add? So would we just vote on this?
No, I think we say, I think what we do is now just have, we had a motion to approve and a second by Kurt. It's now a motion to approve, or to rescind his motion to approve CJ.
They did
Rescind the
that.
motion to approve Kurt, and a motion to approve as we just amended, and second by the same two people.
Just say, so move.
No, it just, it was,
to repeat
CJ has to rescind his motion to approve.
I rescind my motion to approve.
Kurt, rescind your second.
I'm rescinding mine.
CJ, a motion to approve the agenda item as amended.
Motion to approve the agenda items as amended.
Same, second.
Same, second it, yep.
Good.
No more discussion, right? Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Motion to approve.
We made it.
Isn't as bad.
Trustee Mason.
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton.
Aye.
Trustee Consolino.
Aye.
Trustee Fialko.
Aye.
Trustee Stylen. Aye. Trustee Reinders.
Aye.
Motion carries. Consider for approval ordinance number 23-034, an ordinance amending section 5-3D of the Village of Homer Glen Code of Ordinances regarding the placements of, wait, did I just read that? No. Items of the agenda. Now I'm really confused.
You're 25.
Oh, okay, so,
Section D,
yes, so who, wait, hold on a second here.
if you just look at Section 2.
Yeah,
D,
so
that's-
Carmen, did you want to touch base on this since?
Sure, so this was an edit that we're looking to change as a specific agenda item for regular meetings shall be prepared prior therefore by the village manager. In addition to the village president, any member of the board of trustees may submit an item for inclusion on an agenda with the support of the item by either another board member or village president. All items, because there's a few items struck, for inclusion thereon by the village president or any trustee must be submitted no less than 4 days before the scheduled date of the board meeting in question, and such agenda shall therefore be distributed to the corporate authorities not less than 2 days prior to the date of the board meeting in question.
I'm sorry, I didn't ask for a motion yet.
I'll
before I
make
did
that motion.
Right. Thank you, Trustee Fialko. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Trustee Consolino, okay. Were you done, Manager Morello?
Yeah.
Okay, Trustee Fialko, do you have something?
I would ask why we got to this point, because we're really not removing that much, containing such specific, and as may be submitted. I don't see the urgency as to why we're bringing it to the board to change those things that don't really make a difference in the ordinance itself.
So a lot of questions about this, but one that always strikes in my head when we're trying to prepare an agenda for the board, and you guys are all aware, it's hard to get information out, and we struggle sometimes with a large packet like this with late nights. So we're asking that recommendations, we can get all this information early. It gives the village president, myself, and board members to work through the ordinance and changes that they're looking for, so we can have it for the board meeting and a quick turnaround instead of the last minute. We struggle for the last minute of getting information, and a lot of times it's out of our hands because it's waiting on legal to look at it, it's waiting for trustees to finalize it and all that information.
Okay, but it already says in the ordinance, this is not being changed. It says not less than 4 days before the scheduled date of the board meeting. So
Wednesday.
are you looking to get more days than that 4? Is that what we're looking at? Because right now, that's the way the ordinance reads already. Not less than 4 days. Must be, right.
So
Well, you're adding must be, but I mean.
So I have a question on that too, for clarification.
Or do you need more days than that? Do you need more days than the 4?
Here,
Well, I do have a clarification, I'm sorry,
yeah,
Trustee.
no, it's the same thing, because I was extremely confused with this one. And so are you guys looking to clarify the same thing that's already there, just because the wording, the language is a little redundant, or?
Wasn't really defined, so there's some
Okay, so,
clarification.
all right, so, but do you need more than 4 days? Is what we're saying. Do you need maybe 5
Day
days?
4, sorry, Trustee, hi. Day 4 would be.
The deadline.
But day 4, because our board meetings are on Wednesdays, would day 4 be that Saturday? Because we pick up our packets on Friday.
You don't count weekends, though.
This is not weekends. This is for business days?
Business days.
So I guess the clarification is packets are
due that Friday, so 4 days prior to the due date of us getting the packets out to the board.
Okay, so
So that's, maybe that's the confusion.
say by Monday?
Right, so what we need to do is amend this to say it should be the 4 days before the Friday before the board meeting.
Right.
Wednesday.
Exactly.
So it's the Monday before the following board
Or
meeting.
just change the amount of days, whatever's easier.
Yeah, probably the amount of days.
I would say 5, so like,
We're counting business days too, and that should be said in here, business days, not weekend days to be. So if you counted 5 and you don't count the village board
5 business days.
that would be the Tuesday, the Monday, Friday, Thursday, Wednesday. Is that enough time, 5 days before the board meeting, or do you need more than that?
So literally, after this meeting, we would have Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, to get anything for the next agenda to be on there.
I think that's
We
fair
have
to
4 days,
staff.
okay. Yeah, no, I agree.
That's fine.
Isn't it 5 days prior to the packet date coming out?
Because they won't hear it.
Isn't it, are you asking for 5 days prior to the packet coming out?
I'm asking for 4 days for the simple reason, we need it in my office so we can have it to produce to legal review, put back to us by Thursday so we can get it on an agenda by Friday because we have to do supplemental sheets. So technically, we're looking for the 4 days prior to the board packet being issued, which is a Friday.
In addition, legal has
So that would be-
requested that we get everything to them by that Wednesday.
Correct.
That's a hard
That's correct.
So if he's only looking for 4 and we give him 5, everybody has plenty of time to have this complete, and it's just a matter of changing the 4 to a 5.
We'll just give you 5 days.
So scratching containing such specific really is just redundant language. It
Yeah.
doesn't need to be in there. As may be submitted for, do you even have to keep for, I would say all items, can we change the wording for inclusion thereon? Because even that sounds,
It should say 5 business days.
can we make it as simple
Scheduled date.
in layman terms as possible, I guess?
Okay. How about if it, you want me to do this?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so must be submitted not less than 5 business days prior to the scheduled date of the packet being introduced to,
Now you're moving it up to Monday.
something like that.
Now you just moved it up to Monday, though,
But
for the packet.
And we're just having a
the
meeting
packet
today.
comes out on Friday. So if we have 5 days prior to that,
I think if we just change the 4 days to 7 days,
Okay.
that takes us, before the board meeting, that takes us all the way back to that Tuesday.
Right,
Accomplishing
right.
the same things. And
Right.
all we're changing is
But it should-
4 to 7.
okay.
Are you good with that to the Tuesday prior to the completion of the board packet? Okay.
All right, were you done? Because I had a clarification question, too. Trustee Reinders or Trustee Cancelino, were you done? Because I had a clarification. So
I think we should change this verbiage in here. All of it, because it says scheduled date of the board meeting in question. So he's saying that he needs it 5 days or 4 days prior to the packet coming out on Friday. So I think we need to change some of that wording in there so that it's clear that it has to be prior to that Friday, not the actual board meeting itself, but to the day that the packet is coming out.
I also think
Right?
we should write.
So that would be 7 calendar days before the board meeting.
Put it in there.
yeah,
7 business days
7 business.
before the board meeting, yes.
in term,
Well, here, I just talked to Paul about this. Maybe we need to clarify whether it's going to be 7 business days or 7 calendar
Calendar
days.
days, yes.
Yes.
So it should be 7 days.
okay, I want a clarification. It's 7 calendar days before the packet?
No, board.
Board, okay, because they're saying packet, board meeting.
Before the board meeting.
Okay,
That will,
Okay.
Trustee Reinders was saying packet, so I want to make sure it's clear.
Because he was saying that it was 4 days prior to the packet coming out on Friday. So that's why I was saying that we should,
Monday.
right, so 7 calendar days. No, you're right, yes. That's the only reason I thought, yeah.
Oh, you're.
Okay, so we're good with 7 calendar days?
No.
Not less than 7 calendar days before the scheduled date of the board meeting in question. And such agenda, I don't like this. And such agenda shall thereafter be distributed to the corporate authorities not less than 2 days prior to the board meetings. Okay, that's fine. But now I want to go back, the underlining part, because there seems to be a
Hold on, I think,
Oh, I'm sorry.
If we go back 7 calendar days from that Wednesday, that brings us exactly to the Wednesday before. If you count back Tuesday, Monday,
Right,
Sunday.
7 days, week.
We wanted to go back to the Tuesday, so it would actually be 8 days.
well, it's 7 days before the board meeting, so you don't count the board meeting day.
Okay,
You start
okay.
on the Tuesday.
Okay.
And you go back to the Tuesday,
So it would be Tuesday. Okay.
because it's calendar, it's before the board meeting day.
Now, the underlined part, I'm assuming is what was added, Manager Marilla? I'm assuming the underlined part is what is added. So it says, in addition to the village president, any member of the Board of Trustees may submit an item for inclusion on the agenda with the support of the item by either another board member or the village president. So to give you something to be put on the agenda, it's either the mayor and a trustee or 2 trustees, correct?
Correct.
Okay, but if you read after where we just inserted 8 calendar days, it says, I'm sorry, before that sentence, for inclusion thereon by the village president or any trustee.
And
That's contradicting what was just said.
it is. And
So let's change that
we
to
need
reflect.
I don't think that if somebody wants to put something on the agenda, I can talk, right?
Yeah.
If somebody wants to put something on the agenda, it should be able to be put on. If you want something on, if a trustee wants something on, it shouldn't require anybody going through a third party to get the okay. I think the way we had it, just putting stuff on the agenda, and we're not putting frivolous things on there. If we start seeing frivolous things, maybe you could add that language. But I don't think that, and I believe somebody had mentioned with a previous board, they were told, oh, you had to have 3. Well, that's not in the ordinance, it's not in OMA, it's not in IML, and it's not in Robert's rules. So the thing is, keeping it flexible for the board members here. You want something on there, we should hear what you have to say. It shouldn't take somebody else to say, yeah, you can do that. I think keeping it the way it was and removing that language that requires anybody other than the trustee themselves or the president themselves should be able to put stuff on the agenda. I'm sorry I didn't have my mic on.
Attorney, did you have anything to add to that?
I was just going to say that this is normal practice in other villages where we see who can put something on the agenda, the manager, the clerk, the president, and then the trustee plus 1. But if you want to have it just 1 trustee, that's fine.
No.
Do whatever you want.
Is that Trustee Consolino? Trustee Reinders? Trustee Fialko? Trustee McNaughton?
I don't know what we're saying we're fine with.
With just 1?
With 1 trustee putting something on the agenda.
No, I was saying no other, just 1 trustee wanting it, not with 1 trustee's approval.
You won.
Okay.
Relax, Dan.
So, all right. We with yourself. I gotta be sure.
You're arguing against yourself now. It's getting late.
Okay, so no one made the motion to amend this yet.
I don't even know what's going on right now.
No, we have to clarify what we're going to do.
Okay. All right, so in addition, I think what we should do is strike what is underlined, or it's actually not even approved. You don't have to
I
strike
just think
it.
what we should do is this. What's before us? I'm going to read this, and if we agree, we can make a motion to amend it. And specific agenda for regular meeting shall be prepared prior thereto by the village manager. In addition to the village president, any board member of trustees may submit an item for conclusion on the agenda, strike with the support of the item by another board member or the village president. All items for inclusion thereon by the village president or any trustee must be submitted not less than 7 days.
7 calendar.
Seven calendar days before the scheduled board meeting in the question, and the rest remains the same.
Someone make that motion.
I make that motion.
Trustee Reinders, Trustee Consolino, no more discussion. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee Stylen?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Trustee Consolino?
Aye.
Trustee Fialko?
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton?
Aye.
Trustee Mason?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, public comment.
Hold on.
No?
got one
I tried, Mr. D. Was there something else?
We're good. I asked the legislative
Oh.
council to walk us through
Okay.
a motion to recall J1.
So there's a, Trustee Fialko asked me how he could have a motion to reconsider or a motion to adopt something in J1. There's two ways he can do it. We can have since he was in the majority and he voted yay on it, he can make a motion to reconsider it, and then there's two parts to that motion. Is the motion to reconsider, and if there is, then there's motion, the second motion is taken up. Another way we can do it is that he can make a motion to amend the motion we passed and supplement the language that he wants to amend in the ordinance, and we can just take up that specific sentence and approve that amendment.
So that's what I would, the second part of what I'd like to do.
So,
yes.
Make a motion, I amend the motion we passed earlier, J1, striking, everyone a strike, adding your new language.
Okay. I'd like to make the motion to amend J1 as a recall to the vote that was already put out there, to amend a certain portion of section 10.6 when it comes to membership.
10-6.
And again, this is a little lengthy, so I just want to make sure that we get this correct.
Where you at?
I am in the
10-6,
middle. I am on
page 3.
3 of 6. And where I start seeing something that needs to be changed is okay, where it says in the last, basically it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines up where it says the village president.
Highlighted in yellow. I'm assuming that's the copy everybody has.
The village president, it says, right, as of right now, shall appoint a village board trustee as the chairperson of each committee, who shall be a member of the village board of trustees. So that's redundant a little bit because it already says a village board trustee. I'm good with it up to there. And the village president shall also appoint members of each committee as well as vice chairperson. The part that the part that I would like to amend is to remove the village president shall also appoint the members of each committee.
Dan, wait, can I stop you a second? You have to be looking at something different than I am, because
He's right here.
but I don't have, mine's different. There was an updated version at your dais.
This is the only one that,
So there's one with those corrections already made on that.
okay, I did not get this till right now. Village president. Okay, so in yellow, though, it is still yellow, though. Village president shall also appoint members of each committee. So what does the yellow mean at this point?
So
The change, new language, right?
no, so what was explained to me, oh, and I'm not even sure if I,
This is what we adopted.
this is what we are, so what we adopted last time was in yellow. Wait, at the last meeting. There was one mistake, which I can talk about after, when you're done, Trustee Fialko. But from what I understand, the exact thing that you just read, how it was redundant, that was removed.
Okay.
And that's updated in this in the yellow. Because if you read it now, it's not there.
But what I would still like to remove is that the village president shall also appoint the members of each committee as well. When we have a committee, that is the chairperson's responsibility at that point. Appointing the members still has to come to this board.
What we're saying is we voted on this last time already.
But I know it's still part of it that can be amended.
Oh, okay, I wanted.
How did you vote last time?
The first time I voted yes. Or this time where we just went through it.
No, what I'm saying is this was approved at the last meeting.
Understood,
Okay.
but we still had all the stuff that we changed in here, and this is all part of it. At any point within the same ordinance, I can amend.
Okay, maybe I was misunderstanding. I thought you were
I think
saying.
what you're trying to do is you're not trying to amend something, you're trying to amend something that we did at a prior meeting. You had told me you were trying to amend something that we just adopted in this meeting.
No.
In the same meeting, that's what you had told me. That's what I looked.
If I can interject, we passed this last time.
Yes.
And Dan, you voted yay.
Yeah, so
think
that's a different, that's a completely different question.
You have one meeting.
The point
Next meeting, you can revisit it and revote.
that I am making, though, is I did not get this till now. Now, why, I don't know why I just got it now.
I don't know either.
But the point is, if we have to bring it back, we need to bring that back, because that to me is not, that is not the way to do business here. As far as appointing committee members, that should be left up to the chair. That's why you are the chair, so you can put your members into those positions. And you may be comfortable now with the way the language it is, but there may be a day that you're not comfortable with that language. So anyway, if we should address it at a different day, then I can bring it back up.
But-
I'm sorry for the
That's okay.
confusion.
No, it's totally fine. Can I talk about the one issue, but it's not brought up now?
Well, he just discussed it, so you can
Okay.
talk, and then we'll move on.
Okay.
Okay, so if you look at that same paperwork that you had, there was one mistake. It was discussed, but it wasn't changed. It's in blue on page 4. So before, it said can be removed at any reasons by the chairman, but that kind of contradicts what we said last time, so it's the village president. That was the one change, which we already adopted this, so I just wanted to point that out to you. But if I can talk a little further on this, I just wanted to say one thing. I made it clear to you, Trustee Fialco, and the other trustees, I am not making any recommendations of committee members. Trustee Consolino had sent an email regarding, at the time, what was her proposed committee. I asked her, I'd like your recommendations, any feedback from the previous members. I'm not making any recommendations. I explained to you why I asked for this. You said you understood. You didn't agree with it, but you understood where I was coming from. No?
Never the point about appointing the members of the committee. Appointing the committee chairs, I agreed, because that was taken away from the previous mayor. I agreed with giving you back that authority to appoint your committee chairs, not the members.
So what we voted on last time, and I don't remember how you voted, but what I asked for, which Manager Morella had read, was that I asked for it to go back to the way it was prior. I wasn't asking for anything additional. I was asking what it was going back to the time prior. And that's what we have before us.
If you ask for that, that is not the way it was prior. It never was that prior. The only thing we ever changed was the mayor giving the authority, the authority to appoint the committees. But if we can bring it back.
Yeah, I think we're going to kind of far afield now.
Okay. So, you know what, Trustee Fialco, I'm happy to talk with you about it, and I'm open to it. Like I said, I'm not appointing anybody myself.
So
we're moving on to...
Just to finish that up, you're not appointing, but you're not removing either?
I didn't say that. Well, it's up to the committees. The committees, there's no removing because they're all up for reappointment. So it's not a removal.
I would just like to say, a committee chair knows the people that him or her has been working with. It takes a long time to put.
All right, I think we're out of the scope like the mayor or the attorney had said, so. Okay, so we're moving on to item K, public comment. Mike Dean.
Thanks for waiting, Mike.
I got one more. Is it green or red? There you go.
Been a resident for 36 years in village of Homer Glen, which used to be called Lockport. That was my mailing address for Homer Township. I'm still worried about this veteran memorial. The last time I was up here, I gave a little speech, but this one here, I'm just kind of going to revive. When Rose had when she did all of her designs, you said it was a nice design. You really didn't know about it, you said. And then you turn around and you said it was gorgeous.
It is.
And then you said Dan Falco brought it through the financial, and his committee passed it, her committee passed it, and then it went all no. Now, I want to know what's going on with this. Then you said you went to the state, and you're trying to get money from the state. But we do have the money here, right, Carmen? We still have the money in the cooperative, and it hasn't been touched, and the lawyer's going to oversee this money then, right?
Who, me?
Carmen, I wasn't aware of that, but okay.
But I want to know what you're doing. You talked about inflation, about this, and you said you guys are concerned with True Green. Now, what are you going to do?
Touch of green.
Touch of Green. So what are you going to do with this memorial? And the other ones that voted no, okay, they're a no. So you're the fourth vote. So how are you gonna take this and move it on? And is Rose gonna still be the chairman of this? Are you gonna make a new chair? Are you gonna take a different design? Where are you going with this now? I have no clue, and there's a lot of money out there, and I just want to find out what's going on. I'll be here the next meeting too, just to find out what's going on. Now, I heard everything up here today. I wish I had more time to speak. I wish you guys had Robert's Rules of Orders instead of 3 minutes, 5 minutes. Ask the lawyer, you can do it, you have to vote on it. I can't make that vote. But every resident around here should have 5 minutes to talk. We are taxpayers. We should have that right.
I know you have 3 minutes, but then you can ask for an additional time, and the board can grant you additional 3 minutes, so you can do that with permission of the board, so you can get up to 6 minutes.
So you can get up to 6 minutes.
Correct. Correct. You have three, and you get the 3, and then the clerk would say time up, and then you can say, can I request additional
A
time?
lot of stuff up here about prayer. I'm quite sure there's a lot of people up here that were talking about prayer. It's harmless. If you just want a moment of silence.
30 seconds. Would you like to request?
I mean, this is the last time I was up here. You even said, you told that last guy, after I spoke, you said, oh yeah, I'm glad you gave the 3 minutes. And that was after me, because you actually gave me 3.5 minutes. And I appreciated that, to finish my statement. But I want to know where this memorial's going. And it was a fantastic memorial. And I knew about it 2 years ago, because I was calling them up. What are you doing with it? What are you doing with the memorial? What are you doing with the money, Rose? She said it was COVID, and it was, I said, okay. She didn't even know me. I didn't even get my name on the telephone. I just wanted to know what was going on with it. She said, we're going to move forward, and she did. Now, I want to know where she went wrong, and how she went wrong, and why Touch of Green, or whoever, True Green, or
Touch of Green,
does not have it. When you said her thing was gorgeous, so you're going to find somebody else to do it? And what are you going to do with that money over there? The $800,000. I just want to know. Is it, the village never said a word about it.
It's public comment.
Never said a word about it.
Mr. Dean, you, by all means, you have the right to speak for another 2 minutes. I am extremely happy to discuss all of these questions with you and Rose at the same time. I'm still trying to find...
I want people to hear about it.
Mr. Dean...
Not just me and her, but everybody.
Mr. Dean, with all due respect, sir, I don't even have the answers. I've asked many of... Because I didn't have the answers. I can't vote on some... Mr. Dean, with all due respect... Mr. Dean, I had asked many questions and have received many different answers on many different occasions.
And I was just shocked to see what went on that night. And I'm shocked with, you guys can debate, and after your debate, we have to take that debate. And we can't vote on it anymore. I wish you guys would debate first and then let us speak at the mic on a public forum. But I know it doesn't work that way. I wish it did, because there's a lot of good debating up here. Some I agree with, some I disagree, some I agree with, some I disagree with. But this is the village of Homer Glen, one of the best villages in the state, by far. And I don't want to see it be wrecked by a prayer or a moment of silence. I wish you were with me when I was 21. And when guys sat there were atheists, were praying. I just wish that you were there. All of you. It just shakes me to the heart that a prayer has to be so controversial. A prayer. Now, you can vote on her if she wants to be the head of something, that's fine with me. But a prayer, it just goes to my point. Go ahead. You hear it all the time on television now. What's next for us?
Keep going.
Thank you very much. And God bless America. God bless you all. And if you want to really see a monument this weekend, go out to Lincoln Cemetery. Those were the honorable men are out there. And I never said a word before. All I want to see is a memorial.
You will get your memorial, Mr. Dean. I promise you that. You will get a memorial.
And the next one until I have answers.
Okay.
I want it on the agenda. Thank you very much for letting me talk. And it was a long evening.
And we apologize for not moving it up. Karen Worth. We're almost there. Is your mic on? I'm sorry. Is it green?
Yes.
There you go.
Okay. First thing I added for the past 3 hours, I kept adding and adding, so I'd like about 40 minutes if you don't mind. No. Thank you, all of you, for making the effort to work together. That's all I and most voters want to see. It doesn't matter who I voted for. Once you're in office or the other person is in office, just work together. That's all we're asking. And I see a lot of effort in that direction, and I really, really appreciate it, and so do the people that I talk to every day, my neighbors, your neighbors. That's number one. Number two, this is legal because it's about the invocation, and I didn't realize it was in the first part of the agenda, but I appreciate the moment of silence because I've spoken about this before. I am a lay chaplain, lay means not ordained, lay chaplain through Rush University Bishop Anderson House, and I've spent my time making sure that people get along, Muslims, Christians, Jews, and I belong to SWIFT, Southwest Interface team, and it's really bothered me with the invocations that we've had here. They are exclusively Christian, which is, to me, arrogant and exclusionary toward my Jewish and Muslim neighbors. I've made comments about it, but I actually ran into the son of one of my neighbors and had to try to explain to him, would you want to come and sit here surrounded by only Christians and listen to, my Lord Jesus Christ? No, you wouldn't. So I'm grateful for the 30 seconds of silence or something non-denominational. So that's number two. Number three, this is what I really came here to say. Now I'm speaking as a community advocate for the Village Behavioral Health and Addiction Recovery Committee. I don't think there's a chairperson chosen yet. It was Ruben. I went to the last meeting, didn't realize it had been canceled, so I just had my own meeting in the parking lot with the doctor that also didn't get that message, but Dr. Tony. I don't think there's a chairperson. Dr. Tony is a local pediatrician. He has extensive experience, data, and ideas. Someone from Hero.
30 seconds.
Okay, I got to talk fast. Someone from Hero, John Roberts, Heroin Epidemic Relief Organization, has been attending the meetings too. We've been waiting for, and have I, so have I, and Joe and Ron and other people. I'm trying to find out what I can cut out here. The village can save and improve lives. It's a no-brainer for you. It's positive. I'm sick of the negative. It's something positive, it's something urgent, it's something necessary. You can make a difference with the rest of us. And you can do it at no cost or minimal cost, and really no work, because you have experienced groups that have been coming to that meeting, and the meeting's, it's kind of fading down, right? Nothing's happening. I don't see anything happening. But we're all waiting for a committee chairperson, an agenda. John Roberts from Hero said, hey, I have this trailer that educates people over 18 years of age, educates parents, You can put it at Homerfest. You can put it at Lockport High School. You can, anywhere, community events. All the high schools around here have done that, and grade schools, all of them, except LTHS and Homer Glen. We're falling behind. And I'm not going to get into statistics because I don't have time, but the heroin trend is up, you know.
Ms. Worth, I'm just going to stop you for 1 second. I believe you said earlier that we don't have a committee. We do. We appointed Mr. Mason tonight to the chairman of the committee.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, that happened tonight.
Okay.
Just to clarify, so everybody does know, I was going to talk about this in old business, I'm going to talk about it now. For the committees, because the committees needed to be appointed in the previous ordinance by May 31st. Obviously, there wasn't enough time to get all the applications in. I received them on Monday, not this Monday, or I'm sorry, Friday, last Friday, so there was no way possible I could appoint, or anybody could appoint, or follow up or talk to previous board members or committees on attendance records, issues, any of that stuff.
Okay.
So,
I understand.
Appointed the chairs tonight.
Okay.
I am looking for recommendations from the new chairs for their vice chair. I'm also looking for recommendations from the chair for their committee members. So it will start happening.
Okay.
I agree with you 100% that there is an issue with heroin and whatnot, but we promise we're keeping it and we're going to tackle it the best we can.
And just, this is really important because you don't have to do very much. When you have a John Roberts and a Dr. Tony, and we had somebody here from Will County, all you have to do is approve them to go to whatever, Homerfest or someplace, work with the school. What?
He said approved.
Yeah.
It already has been approved.
Yeah, we're good.
It's like a no, but we lost April, May, now the school year is over.
Yeah.
You know, we were trying to get something done by the end of May.
Unfortunately, there was an election with, change of board, so it was kind of hard to, but we got you. We understand you 100%. We're with you, and Mr. Mason will take charge.
Okay.
Okay, and we'll notify you as soon as he has a meeting.
Okay.
Okay?
That's
I
all
was
wanted.
appointed tonight, but I look forward to working with you.
Good.
Thank you.
Because I've been an advocate for 23 years on a related topic, and you'll see me here every week until I see some results.
I've seen you and spoke to you in the past as
Yeah.
well, and you're very knowledgeable, and I look forward to it, so thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And I hope that was a positive end to the meeting.
Yes.
I hope.
Thank you.
Thank you.
too.
You're welcome. Okay, moving on to old business.
Old business.
Anybody have it?
Can I?
Trustee Fialko?
As far as Homerfest, we had a grant put in that we applied for about 8 months ago. Have we seen any?
You are correct. Me and Gia reached out yesterday, I believe. We were talking, and
I called and left a message with them day before yesterday. I had on my schedule to follow up today, but I did not do that yet. So they have not called me back, but it is out there, it's in the works, and
So no word back. Mosquito abatement, did we get any word from?
I'm meeting with Clark tomorrow at 9 o'clock.
And posting that information about Clark?
He's going to bring his
out there yet?
material and stuff like that.
I'm sorry, couldn't.
He's bringing all the material that I need for posting on a website. We set up a meeting for tomorrow with Clark.
That would be it for new business, or old business.
Anybody else for old business?
I want to give a heartfelt thank you to both Village Manager Morella and to Gia Casson for another grant award. What's our total to date for the past year?
2.5.
Year now, so since you've been here?
Well, we have allocated for $7 million in grant funding. We are at $2.5 million in awards. That's where we're at.
It's very commendable. Thank you, both.
Yeah, absolutely. I would like to say thank you also, because I don't think a village manager and the team with the village manager has aggressively gotten grant money like you have, Carmen. And thank you very much for always staying on top of that and bringing our money into this village that's out there that we haven't got a hold of before. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gia's a huge part of that too, so thank you.
I have something for old business, and this will repeat what Mr. Dean said. I'm not looking for a discussion, I'm just going to bring something up. Trustee Reinders was appointed tonight to the Parks Committee, so to answer your question, yes, she will continue on with the Parks and the memorial. There are questions that we have that we would just like to get answered and how to move forward with this. And I did say it is a beautiful memorial. It still is a beautiful memorial. There was some confusion on what was included and what was not included. The price changes, there's just discussion. I promise to have some answers for all of you, especially you, Mr. Dean. I can't say by the next meeting, because I know there's still some investigating, or not investigating, but questions that the staff is still looking into, but we will have some answers for you ASAP. My email is also online. If you'd like to email me, I can update you as questions are answered. Anybody else have anything for old business? Is that it for old business? Yes. New business? No. New business? I don't know. New business? Trustee Fialko?
Yes. June's meeting, the 28th, I would like us to start thinking for our next meeting, which would be on June 14th. Homerfest is that week, and we've always taken off that meeting right after the fest because there's no time for staff to prepare during that whole week of Homerfest. So I would like us to be able to make that decision. Carmen, does that help out too?
Well, Homerfest is the 14th.
Homerfest is the 22nd.
The meeting's the 14th.
The meeting's on the 14th. I'm talking about the 28th, though.
Oh.
So I'm saying by the 14th, we should know whether we want to cancel the 28th or not.
Right after the fest.
This will be the one right after it, and everybody, you know, getting the agenda ready during that week is during the week of the fest.
We usually cancel that, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So I'm saying we should make a decision either now or on the 14th, whether to cancel the 28th or not.
I'm okay with it. Oh, sorry. Attorney, do you have something to add?
No, I just was going to say that if that's a consensus, I can work with Carmen to bring a resolution forward canceling the meeting so the public knows that we're canceling the meeting ahead of time.
Is that a consensus? Yes, yes, yes. Okay.
Yes.
So that answers that. Any more new business? Do we want to hang out longer, or do we want to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Trustee Mason? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you very much.